Turn it into my yard.
Anybody that says that is usually a lot lizard. They're like, hey, big boy.
Fears the mind killer, and fears a little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I'm forbidden to pass over me and through me.
Knowledge is power, but how you use that power defines whether you are good or evil.
Half the money I do.
Man, he's getting fucking ripped off.
He's getting
you should hook him up with the job.
So you want to hire me?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, didn't you just fire a dude for?
I fired everybody. I'm the only one working in my company now.
Jesus, hire him up.
I went on a firing.
Wait, you're hiring Jesus?
Hire Jesus.
Is he a good driver? Which one?
I would not hire Jesus because he would be very unpredictable, and you would have to have 12 people in your truck with you driving around. And every once in a while, I'll be like, okay, Jesus, you know, we really need you to haul oil, not turn oil into wine.
Yes. This wine isn't making us any money. Stop fucking up our product.
We know you can turn oil into wine. We get it. It's not fun. It's fun when you do it with a cup. When you do it with the whole tank load, we're kind of not really making money anymore. And they can't process wine as good as they can process oil. Give me a break. Come on.
God damn it, Jesus.
You're a dirty whore.
Jesus. So what's on the agenda tonight? What are we talking about?
I have zero agenda because I did no homework. I apologize.
Don't apologize. It's cruising with steak style. Just free flowing bullshit.
Yeah. The stuff I paid attention to this week was mostly those TDA count things we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Last week. But there's been no movement or anything that I could say or really want to speak about publicly at this time.
For sure.
But it's an interesting concept. I think it's legit. It looks legit. So.
Did Heather get out of jail?
No, she's got a hearing on Monday.
On Monday? Oh, okay.
Who's Heather?
She's a lawyer who's been working on all this stuff for everyone.
What were we talking about? I forgot.
The alleged accounts that are...
Oh, yeah, that's right. That secret number on the back of your Social Security card that you were talking about.
Yeah, it's not a number. It's the identifier of the bank that holds your account or manages your account.
Account number.
It's the routing number. Think of it that way.
Oh, that's the routing number. So then what's your account number? How many digits is it?
Your Social Security number.
Oh.
Well,
then what is your birth certificate number?
That's the stock certificate number.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
That's the,
There's 8.
That's the certificate of stock, of ownership.
Well, why do they do this? It doesn't make sense still.
It's how
because we're traded on the stock market.
It's how they fund things.
But is this how they add money? Is it essentially how they add money to the system? Is another person is born and they?
I think so.
Or is it more like laundering money, where they?
I think it's all of that and none of that, and some stuff we could never think of.
Or is it like Rat Race, where there's millionaires and billionaires betting on people?
That's probably it.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah, currency.
Yeah.
I'll trade you one 30-year-old middle-aged overweight truck driver for 3 10-year-olds.
And then they clone them, take them to the bases, and there's a lot of raping going on.
I think one of the most poignant moments in 48 hours when you find out the 2 rich guys had bet on the misery of somebody for a penny.
$1.
Oh,
What?
$1?
The standard bet, remember?
Oh, it was $1? Okay. I knew it was something like just showing like that somebody's life was like nothing more than a cheesy little unimportant bet.
Yeah.
What was that?
Trading Places. Eddie Murphy, Dan Aykroyd, Mortimer, and
dude, that must have gone totally over my head, or I was not paying attention.
It's like the last scene before they go.
Yeah, it's just such a poignant moment, but it is so in your face, and it is so indicative of what these people are like. It's hard for a human to really connect those two dots in the facile way they present it.
You know, the other poignant part of that movie, or the one that I recall most impactful, was when he pulls that stupid smoked herring or smoked salmon out of his Santa suit, and he's gnawing on it. Yeah, Aykroyd in the gnawing on the bus. Remember, he's like drunk off his ass. He was just going to shoot himself, but I forget what happened. Oh, the gun was empty.
No, I don't remember that.
It's when it's his dark night of the soul. And he accepts it, and he eats this smoked salmon that he stole from the party at his work. He'd gone into Santa Claus, remember?
Vaguely.
Yeah.
I must not have paid attention to that movie at all.
It's an interesting movie. It's a John Landis movie, too, I might add.
Oh, yeah.
And John Landis is an interesting cat.
I kind of bring that up because we were saying, why do they trade us? Because it's amusement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of those. There's probably a laundry list of reasons. If you asked every elite why they consider trading humans as fun, what's the reason behind it? We could put out a survey on like Twitter.
Or is it like a final or like a fantasy football league where you pick players and see how much money or something like that?
Oh man.
For all we know, it could underlie the whole financial system.
Let's put it this way: they don't think much of us.
They don't have to.
Well, they are
just a number
against the stock markets, as far as like or the housing markets, betting against the bets that they're making, so that they rather, regardless if the markets rose or fell.
Yeah, well, they're playing their game for them. It has, we just kind of provide the money for the poker game.
We need to flip that shit on its head and do that to them.
Yeah, we do.
I want to be the pink.
Yeah, we do.
Nope.
All right,
Who's the them and the they and the there, though? That's what I'm still trying to get to the
Not
bottom
us.
Of. Yeah, anybody but us.
It ain't
Everyone
us.
else.
Yeah.
And and not the bogus people. As in, not legit.
They're probably looking at stock and going, shit, this guy's woke up. He doesn't believe in anything anymore. I just lost a lot of money.
Yeah.
No, they don't lose money. They lose energy. It's an energetic game. It's not necessarily physical.
Yeah, the money is like Monopoly money to them.
Yeah.
It's just part of the game. You play with it, but, please.
They wipe their asses with it. Come on.
Dude, I want to fucking pay my bills with Monopoly money.
Our money pretty much is Monopoly money.
If it can be generated en masse like they do, then there's got to be a way to do it.
I know.
There has to be. I know. I mean, it has something to do with promissory notes. If you follow like Michael Tellinger's work, he I think paid off his house with a promissory note that he made. That had crazy terms in it. Like, it wasn't crazy; it was completely acceptable that if this note is sold, it becomes null and void, right? And when the banks accept it, they just sell it anyway. They don't even really read the
they didn't even look at it.
And they accepted it, and they sold it, and his house is his. It was paid off. It's all paid off. The bond is now the notes on the market,
Right.
So it's interesting.
What's up, Brandon?
Hey guys, what's going on?
Hey.
Hello, Brandon.
Happy
Brandon.
Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Holy fuck, it's Friday.
Yeah, I still got to work in the morning. So Friday means
Butcher
nothing
man.
to me. Yes.
Get back.
Yep, I work for other
Me too.
people's fun.
Me too.
It's Monday, another week of work.
So Jay Dyer and I might have a debate.
Awesome. About?
Well, I don't know yet, but he put out a thing on Facebook like public debate, any Roman Catholic, blah 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 blah. So I was like, all right. I was like, name it, when, where. And he hasn't responded, so I don't know. Was this a bluff or what?
I'd be happy to host it for you.
You'd be the moderator.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know any details yet, but it's just funny because he's Eastern Orthodox, So
Yeah.
It's like. Yeah. Anyway, but I think debate's kind of an irrational institution. Anyway, I think conversation is much better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just lay out what's your issue with Roman Catholicism, and how can I help you not hate me?
Yeah, well, whatever the issue is, I don't know what the parameters are. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it's the Pope or what.
I
I'll
think
have arguments for it.
Eastern Orthodox just think the whole Mediterranean is infected with, the dark ones.
Yeah, well, maybe. Yeah, that's true. But
I thought they kissed and made up.
They may have, but the people probably didn't.
Mm.
Did you guys see the moon tonight?
Oh, yeah.
Not
no,
yet.
it's still cloudy here. I can't see it.
That's why I was late. Well, it was one reason I was late, because I was filming the moon.
Full moon?
Was it in the west or in the east?
It's in the west, where it usually is.
Okay, the moon here is usually comes up in the east. Last night, I don't know what time it came up, because by 8:30 it was down. No, maybe it was like 9:30.
Yeah,
down, totally down.
Yep.
I was like, what the fuck?
It's the schedule.
That was a ripoff.
Well, it's been coming up. It's been rising and setting during the day for the last week until like 3 days ago.
Yeah.
It's on a. What?
The new moon and the other moon. Yeah, it's a cycle, because here too, like, it sets in the morning and sometimes it sets at night. So it just follows kind of a cycle too.
Right. Sometimes you see it like all of last week, or most of early this week, was daylight moon. The moon was up during the day. It set right behind the sun. It was really close to the sun. That's the way to think about it.
Nice.
And as the week progressed, it like goes back. It's not quite retrograde, but it starts to slow down in being close to the sun. So it gets farther and farther away from the sun. So it comes up later in the day and sets at night.
Right.
Well, then how can anybody who's in nighttime when we're in daytime have any moonlight?
They can't. Well, first of all, it's a new moon. There's really no moonlight. It was like 2% illuminated. You could barely...
I've seen the full moon during the day.
Yeah.
Like all day long.
I have too. Even when the sun was beneath it.
Yeah.
I don't know, it doesn't make any sense.
I've seen the moon. I've seen the.
And the moon saw you.
11 and the moon at 2. And I'm like, what the what?
Did you see that article where they claimed that there's like a bunch of water like under the surface of the moon?
Yes.
They've been saying that.
I think I labeled it fake news already.
Yes, you did.
Dude, that's what they taught us in school.
All I could think of was Water on the Moon by I.P. Longshot. All I could think when I read that.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Don't you remember in school they taught us there was water on the moon and there were rivers under the freaking desert?
No, I never was
Or
taught
that-
that.
I was never taught that. What school did you go to, Susan?
I was.
I remember
She was homeschooled.
coming out.
I went to a Christian school.
Oh, okay. It all makes sense now.
Yeah. Well,
Let's
6th to
talking
9th
about
grade.
You know,
Did you learn that, Brandon? No, you're
No.
too young.
Brandon, by the way, where
Yeah,
is
no,
our
last
Jenny Moonbeams?
oh, I don't know.
Moonbeams.
Moonstone, whatever her name is. Moonstein.
Moonstone.
Moonstein.
Moonstone. Moonstein.
I don't know. She's probably with her kids or something like
Damn
that.
it.
I think.
Did you ever get your interview?
No, not yet. No, I haven't talked to her yet. Really.
All right. You've been busy. I got you.
Yeah, been busy. So
No extra energy
Yeah.
to work that angle. I got it.
yeah, pretty much. But no. Anyway, I did hear about. I've been binging on funny Alex Jones clips for the last like couple of weeks, you know, and he's on Joe Rogan. He's talking about an article, and they pulled up the article how they found water on the moon, and this was like a year ago at least, right? At least a year ago, and he said it's like almost like it's like an evolution. So you go to the moon. The idea is man goes to the moon, finds water, from there goes to Mars, and then harvests whatever is there on Mars, and then from Mars to, you know, through the asteroid belt or whatever, to Jupiter and to Saturn. I think personally it probably ends on Saturn or something like that. I don't know, but
That's like
I thought
that's
that was
also like a tree of life path. You think of it as.
ooh yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yep.
I mean, that's a good analogy.
Space
Yeah.
really represents consciousness, and the planets represent archetypes or different levels, and they
Absolutely.
represent many things. So
Mm-hmm.
that's another way to think of it.
That's why the planets are on the tarot cards, and right, and so yeah, absolutely, man.
I think so.
Mhm.
Yeah, the
that's
planets are some fuckery.
I think it's just the entities that took up residence there.
Well, yeah, that's what I think. I think there's certain myths that would actually say that everything except the sun, the moon, and the earth are constructs and actually kind of work as anchors for energy that actually work along the lines that astrology explains. But when you think about it, those influences, again, you know, they don't compel, but they do influence. So having all those influences in our history and in our lives amounts to fuckery.
Exactly, and it doesn't matter if they even existed or not, because it's already if you think of it as a pathogen, it's already infected you, or the mass consciousness.
Well, but the self-organizing principles I see kind of demonstrated from what I can perceive. However, I won't list my means because who knows, there might be an objection. But there seems to be a self-organizing principle, and then the whole clock-like nature, and just the fact that there's just like this not always very good effect on the psychology of the human being. And then you look at some of the names that got associated with them, and then you're going,
like Juno.
Yeah, Juno.
Yeah, I've always kind of pictured it as a multi-layered sieves with different holes, right? And sometimes the holes line up, and energies of a certain type can get through. You know, but it's just this giant, like 3-piece clockwork rotating sieve with light behind it.
Yeah, well, I see it kind of all sitting in an etheric type of, excuse me, of medium. So as all these different, things, excuse me,
no.
are moving about and disturbing this medium, those impacts kind of come in and bounce off of our realm. Let's call it a realm.
Okay, so that's interesting. This is an interesting topic. So starlight, you're saying that the frequency that makes it through of starlight is basically the net result of the process of going through the space medium, the interstellar medium. Is that what you mean? Or does each star have its... Pardon?
You're not speaking to me. You're speaking to somebody in chat.
No, to you.
Oh no, well, I'm not talking so much about stars. I'm talking about the planets, basically.
Okay, even the planets. Do you think each planet has a different frequency that affects people differently, or do you think it's just the way it vibrates through the interstellar medium that generates that particular frequency?
No, I think there's a frequency. I think that's why there's qualities given to them. And you know, and you yeah, I really think that they are kind of a part of, let's call it an archontic construct.
Okay.
And they're there to try to do their best. All of this archontic stuff is just the envy of the jewel of creation, which is us, and at least in this galaxy. And so there's just this spitefulness that's coming from this particular out there. There's a real antagonism to it towards us. So there's all kinds of fuckery and mimicry, and so it seems as if for some there. I mean, I'm kind of skipping around here because it comes out of a mythos, and without the mythos, it kind of just it's very disconnected. But
True,
I still think
it is echoed. I mean, those sentiments are echoed in other cultures, other ethos.
Yeah, I mean, to me, if you look at because since we know the names of the Roman gods, and that's really what the names of basically the planets are, you kind of get and then you read their qualities, and you get that there's real personalities that these planets are harboring, and of course there's some good cop and some bad cop going on, but good cop to bad cop is a psychological fuckery game. So even when they go, the benefit, like Jupiter, the beneficent planet, okay, but it's also Zeus. You know what I mean? It's
right.
You don't get away, like none of these planets, no matter how good or bad they are, they're never totally good or totally evil. They represent what they represent, and to me, they represent a cosmological phenomenon that is quite antagonistic to our planet and our species. And this is what they managed to contrive. And I mean, I think we beat them by being aware of it. But
yes.
It's still nasty. They're still putting molasses in your bed.
The thing I noticed about planets and planet frequency influences and all that stuff is that they never go off program.
Right.
And none of them are like really good or bad. They're kind of neutral with a swing, right? Except maybe Saturn.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what an AI would be like if it was running things like the planets. So, I mean, that's just another data point for me that I've always thought, oh, those entities are probably NPCs too. AI demigods.
I find the most fascinating of the planets would be Uranus.
Yeah.
Because of its sideways orbit. It's almost as if it decided to rebel. And of course, part of the Uranian nature is rebellious. So it's really interesting to think of all of them as being all of the planets besides the Earth, the Sun, and the Moon as being put there basically. And then looking at Uranus and going, and then even at our own myths, where at one point Uranus was, what represented the sky, and Gaia was Mother Earth, and it was real simple. And then Kronos shows up, and castrates his father, and all, and the different those layers of how the myth goes from the primeval sky father and Earth mother, and so I'm just wondering, what'd you say, Brendan?
I'll just finish that, and then I got a question for you. Good.
So the fact that Uranus looks like it's rebelled, I wonder if it's kind of being neutral and in the conspiracy.
It's interesting. I was just thinking, because we both love Tolkien, I'm thinking of the music of the Ainur, and maybe that's Nienna is Uranus. Is sort of maybe the rebellious one that just weeps at the edge of the cosmos.
Right.
And Saturn would be Melkor.
Yes.
Right. And then you have the the Sky Father, which would be Manwe, and then Ivana would be the Earth Goddess, right? So
Right.
it's I think it's all there. You're right, and I think Joseph Farrell was just talking about this in Dark Journalist's latest
He was.
video, and he was talking right, and he said something like he was talking about Atlantis, and he said that if you take the Plato's myths, because Plato outright said that you have to see things on 7. I'm writing on 7 different levels here, and especially when he talks about his uncle who was initiated by the priests in Egypt. That the Atlantis story. So he looks at things like mountains, and that would represent, say, a planet instead. You know what I mean? And things like that. Personalities represent planets. It's just it's they do have character, I think, and that's why you find Saturn has a lot of character, right, associated with death. Jove and Jupiter, there's reasons why. Like, it's so big that it takes all the asteroids and everything that would otherwise decimate the Earth, and things like that. So it's all loving, things like that. I think that's fascinating to think of it like that.
Well, I find so much correlation between the Silmarillion, the whole early creation stories, before they come to Arda.
Yes.
And just the whole descriptions that they get into. So in many ways, for me, like the Valar don't represent the planets because, well, first of all, like in the Tolkien cosmology, there's Earth and ultimately Sun and Moon. It's a 3.
Right.
Okay, and the Gnostic thing is the same thing. It's the Sun, the Earth, and the Moon. And in their case, we have an Archon problem, and that's kind of what the planets are. In the Silmarillion or the Middle Earth cosmology, their fuckwad is Melkor,
right?
And he kind of joins them, but so in other words, so even though we could we might be able to match up some of the powers with the planets, these were all part of in the Gnostic thing. The planets are part of an inorganic or not part of the life cycle fuckery,
right?
Where Melkor is part of the life cycle. It's an unfortunate part, but to me, there's a real deep philosophical aspect to Melkor as well.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And
especially being the first one, and what I love about it, and I think that even in myself, I won't call it Gnostic, I call it more mystery school, but even with their interpretations, to me, what Tolkien got. And of course, the Gnostics have the pleroma, but the way Tolkien describes the mind of Iluvatar,
yeah,
and the fact that all of his emanations, because that's what the Ainur are these emanations, which are almost identical to the Aeons in the Gnostic myth.
Yeah.
The Ainur and the Aeons, and so when they're all there, that well, this is part of it, or I did lose my thought a little bit, but it's the fact that the Valar, or once they come to Earth and turn from Einar into Valar,
yes,
they're part of an organic. They're part of everything that's right. Oh, what I liked about Iluvatar was that no matter how much of himself that he gave, and he gave everything, there was always a part that still remained with him.
Right.
And Tolkien describes the word secret. To me, it's just that essence of who, of the ultimate essence, that even though it was emanating itself, there was still its own part that it knew alone.
Yes.
And that was also and then his emanations could delight in that discovery. And I really feel that especially in John Lash's telling of the Sophianic myth, he kind of really leaves the propator or the primary emanator, where all the emanations come from, where the aeons come from. And even though it's not active in the system, in my opinion, in real time, the forethought that went in that was able to still reach in through time as if it were being acted on in real time.
Wow, man, that's brilliant. Yeah, wow, that's a brilliant thesis. I mean, I just went over Boethius's Constellations of Philosophy for class, and it's all about fate and free will and all this stuff, and we constantly kept on referencing the music of the Ainur, because it's kind of tough, because in that creation myth, Tolkien, it's just so powerful and deep philosophically, and as you said, like, it even has that deistic what you call mystery school slant to it. It's really interesting, man. That's good.
I find it to be essentially the same story as the the mystery school or the Gnostic creation story, with so few differences. Like, in other words, in the Gnostic case, there's one aeon, Sophia, that kind of embodies into the earth. Okay, in the case of Silmarillion, you have multiple aeons or eons that kind of come as a collective and still basically are with the earth. The earth is under their care.
Right.
And similarly, in a Gnostic myth, the earth is under Sophia's care. But they still have the same origin. They both come from a pleuroid or a central heaven, emanated by a primordial first mover, which would automatically make it male, because that initiative is a yang thing to do. I mean, everything is androgynous ultimately, but there are qualities. And so to me, there's just Tolkien is just telling to me the same story. It's so minutely different that, to me, as far as earth connection, which is really important to me, either one of those myths will take you to the same reverence for the earth and the specialness of human creation and how important role it plays in our cosmos.
Damn, that was brilliant. That was brilliant. That was excellent. Thank you. Yeah. Wow.
I have a boner now.
Is that a wrap? That's it. We got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just solved everything. It's over. Shut it down.
And I've been listening a lot about Tolkien lately, how he had what he called his Atlantis dream, or his he used to have this thing of this, being drowned by water. But then,
the Akalabeth,
right, so in many ways, Numenor fits into as it fills in as an Atlantis type of analog, and
absolutely,
it has for the past couple of decades, and especially, I mean, my name is Radagast, and that is not incidental, but there is a certain parallel alternate earth there. I mean, there's something really powerful about what Tolkien brought through. His early writings, the Silmarillion, is him peering into a world he had access to and bringing it through. The Lord of the Rings was fiction, kind of based on what I feel he brought through, which is why he kind of tried to make the Silmarillion fit after he wrote Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
And I think that was terrible, because the Silmarillion was the pure stuff. Lord of the Rings was an attempt at commercializing this realm.
Yeah. Well, I guess you can look at it, though, even though it's funny because Lord of the Rings and the Silmarillion is like 3 paragraphs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, that's brilliant. And he consciously was writing the Atlantis myth. So, like, C.S. Lewis would say to him, you got to finish the Atlantis.
But isn't that a form of channeling? More or less.
Maybe. I guess. I mean, right?
No. They entered. They entered into kind of our dream world of sorts.
Okay.
Each one of them, because it's funny thing is, both Tolkien and Jung had read books. And both of them started having these immersive visions around the same time, like between 1911 and 1913. And their imagery, some of their imagery is similar. Their experiences. I mean, when Tolkien says he didn't invent Elvish, he was spoken Elvish by the elves.
So we had to learn it.
Well, I think in these things, it's almost like
you have that ability.
There's almost like like you get spoken, you hear the words, but you know the meaning because So there's a depth to Tolkien's work that isn't really seen, because I mean, a lot of people who are familiar with Tolkien are familiar by the Lord of the Rings and the films only.
Right.
So, and then it wasn't until when I cracked the Silmarillion, many 3 readings after the Lord of the Rings, and then it really even wasn't until I had my own personal kind of Gnostic breakthrough. And then I'm looking at the Silmarillion, I'm going, oh my God.
Me too. I didn't start reading Tolkien, so I started reading, esoteric stuff and occult stuff, So it really made sense to me, man. Like in all those different ways, and Tolkien consciously, like you said, he was spoken by the elves,
Yes.
100%, and like with the Atlantis myth, Numenor, you can see, like, even in the language, you're talking about the language of it with Ar-Pharazôn and people like that. It's very Egyptian, Proto-Phoenician, even like a little Celtic, even. So he might have even thought about the Western origins of civilization, or as the remnants of Atlantis. He would consciously put that in there. He said that the last little piece of Numenor can be found as a little piece of an island, and it's known under these various different names, and one of them is Atlante.
Or
So
is it a Horcrux?
Horcrux. Nice.
By finding it, you might resurrect Voldemort.
John Rasmus went to the Manly P. Hall Museum Center in Silver Lake, LA.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a big school now and stuff, but they have Manly P. Hall's library right there. It's kind of like a museum and stuff. And you got in there. Yeah, I feel like I'm of the same, spirit with Manly P. Hall. And they started looking at him really funny, and he didn't realize it at first. And on the way home, he's like, "Oh my God, they thought I was the reincarnation of Manly P. Hall." I'm like, "Dude, you should totally do that. You should say you're the Manly P. Hall reincarnation, just like Dave Wilcox says he's reincarnation of Edgar Casey."
He very well may be, though.
They take that very seriously, and if like Crowley also said that he'd reincarnate as a woman, and like a lot of that's a big fixture in alchemist writings, magician writings, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
They always have like a group of adepts next to them, and they'll say, "I'm going to reincarnate." Even Jesus, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? I'll be reborn in some way. I'm going to come back.
Right.
And speaking as I have to look at reincarnation a whole different way. I think,
especially if there's
the idea of heaven is a reincarnation. So anyway, go ahead.
No, true. But I was going to say there's also, by some reports of scriptures and whatnot, that there's a limited amount of souls to go around. So if you have millions of lives, well, that makes sense. If there's 7 billion people, your soul's going to have a bunch of lives. So it's probably not uncommon.
That's a really good point, man. Yeah, that's a really good point, because John, he found this old occult book, and he posted a photo of it online, and I forget who wrote it. I think I have to look, but it says, "To every human being there is ascribed 2 demons." It's about demons, demonology.
Mm-hmm.
And so it says something like, there are 15 million population of the earth at that time times 2. It was something like 15 million or 30 million.
Mm-hmm.
And so that makes sense, man. So if demons are a permanent fixture, so maybe a soul is, interesting.
Yeah, and
something to think about.
Also, you could want to play devil's advocate would be to say, what if your soul is a demon?
It is.
I know it is, but that it's a demon that, it's your job to make pure or turn into an angel. I don't know. Those are the same to me.
Oh,
to cleanse the demon within you is your job. And by that way, you're bringing light to the underworld or what have you. And just a thought.
No, absolutely. I think everything you have to read on a personal level, an exoteric reading and an esoteric reading.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like inside and outside, you both have to take them both in.
And I really what I was thinking about when I said that was, in addition, I don't remember if it was Plato or Aristotle who wrote about everyone gets a daemon, or is that the Arabs?
No, I think daemon.
It's Socrates.
Socrates
Socrates
wrote that everyone has a daemon. And then the Quran states that everyone gets a jinn.
Yeah, that's right.
So
yeah.
I mean, those similarities there.
Yeah.
It's like maybe that's just another way to look at the dark side of the soul, or maybe you know, I don't know. I don't think it really matters, but
well, Socrates, that's where we get the name demon, is from the daemon,
right,
of Socrates. And yeah, you're right. He was in, you know, he was killed for teaching against the archons, as we're calling them tonight, the planets and the Greek gods.
If he even existed.
Well, yeah.
The charge was corrupting the youth of Athens.
That's right.
That's right. So he drank the hemlock, but
that's why Bill and Ted had to save him.
Yeah, that's right. Didn't he love like the elevator? No, what was it? The escalator or something like that?
I don't remember.
Oh,
yeah, he loved everything. He was just in awe. But I didn't mean to pull it off.
No, it's cool.
Well, following in this Socratic vein, Plato. Recently, I was just considering Plato. Some of the ideas. I mean, I used to have a vast library, and I had his Republic. When I moved, I downsized. Now one of the books that I left. But you know, he was an initiate into the mystery school.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that he chose to kind of support the archontic system, you know, there. To me, he represents one of the earlier Illuminati that chose the dark side. I mean, to have been through the mystery schools and still talk the shit he did, to me meant that he was in support of, and even his concept of the plebes and, you know, the philosopher kings and stuff. It to me was very highfalutin language for let's control the little people.
Well, remember he was a poet, but also I would put it to you this way. I would say, like, you wouldn't accuse Shakespeare of holding the opinions of
and even his concept of the plebes and you know the philosopher kings and stuff. It to me was very
you gotta mute the stream.
Let's control the little people. Newton
poet. But also I would put it to you this way. I would say, like, you wouldn't say.
All right.
I muted her.
Right.
I muted her. Sorry about that. It's like, turn down your radio before you come on.
At least you guys are sounding good. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Fuck yeah. America. Fuck yeah.
What was the point you were making, Brendan?
I forget now, man.
I had said I considered Plato to have been one of the first battle, you know, like let's call him the Illuminati with the pejorative sense of the word.
I was gonna say that I would put it to you this way. I would say you wouldn't accuse Macbeth of holding the opinion, or you wouldn't accuse Shakespeare of holding the opinions of Macbeth, would you? You know, in that sense, like, he's just the author with characters in a play, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can't exactly say Plato thought that, but on the other hand, I would say that, like, yeah, the philosopher kings is an issue, the banishment of artists, of aesthetic terrorism and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, that's like fake news, you know, kind of rings a bell. And yeah, I hear you. There's some tendencies, but I mean, when you come down to it and you try to think of the best way to govern a world, you would probably want enlightened, quote unquote, people, but I think there needs to be more checks and balances.
Well, I mean, he was thinking of the world of the city-state as opposed to the way humans had lived on the planet for tens of thousands of years. So he is one of the makers and shapers of quote unquote modern civilization, and a lot of modern civilization is built on fuckery, if not fuckery based.
Agreed. Yeah.
I want to have a show just called Fuckery. It'll be awesome. This week on Fuckery.
Grab that domain name right now.
Yes, fuckery.com.
I wish it was. You know what? I got a funny internet story. Back when the internet first started selling domain names, I tried to register fuck you or fuck.com, and they wouldn't allow it because they had censorship rules back then. The FCC was like involved, or they were afraid of getting fined by the FCC, so I couldn't register any swear words.
That's funny. And now it's totally changed.
Yeah. Now it's like, I fucked your mom in the ass and you sucked off her shit.com.
Have you ever seen the Trailer Park Boys?
Oh yeah.
No.
Oh you haven't, Jerry?
Is it like the Jerky Boys?
Yeah, it's one of those shows that like
Way better.
the whole time you're like, why the fuck am I watching this? But you can't stop watching it.
It's so good.
I don't
It's so
ever
good,
watch
Jerry.
those kind of movies.
No, it's not a movie.
It's
It's
a great
huge.
adaptation of Canadian life in Nova Scotia.
That's
by
exactly what it is.
Canadians.
Unlike
it's on-
Strange Brew, right?
Oh, it's way more serious.
Is it on
It's
YouTube?
so funny.
Wait, well, is it like a reality TV show?
Sets it up like it is, and you think that it is, but it's obviously not. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
well,
it's
those aren't
so
real.
funny, dude. You'd love it. I think
can't,
it's so
I can't
funny.
watch that shit, dude. I really can't. I cannot.
Try it.
I can't. Well, I don't have cable.
Netflix. It's on Netflix.
I'm not gonna watch it on Netflix.
All right.
I wouldn't waste the bandwidth on that. I'll never make it. I'll watch it for 5 minutes and I'll go, "This is horrible."
You haven't even seen it. How do you know?
I will try it, but I guarantee if it's any kind of reality show,
There's some
It's
funny
not a
stuff in
reality
there.
show.
No, it
I'm
isn't.
just
It's like a
trying to-
mockumentary
Yeah.
almost.
it's a movie.
Right. It's like Spinal Tap.
Is
but
it a
like-
multi-episode thing or is it just one
It's
thing?
dude. It's like 11 seasons deep.
fuck.
now.
It's not worth it. It's one of those mind-numbing ones, like Grimsteak said. You know, you're the whole time you're like, "Why the fuck am I even watching this?"
No,
But then
it's
you laugh.
funny,
This is
And it's just like,
horrible.
oh, man.
They're not even acting. They're just like reading lines.
dude. No way.
It's funny
deeper.
sometimes, but like the few times it's funny, it's not worth all the other shit.
I
Yeah,
think
it's
it's
rough.
awesome.
I respect
I
that.
love it. I love it. Well,
I
I
mean,
like to be the
so-
sole trailer park representative on this
So
call
not
tonight.
big fans.
It's
of
like a- it's like a-
Canadians here.
It's like watching Cops. Whenever they're arresting white people in trailer parks, it's like all the people you see on Cops. It's that on the show.
but it's just these three people in it, and every season begins with them in jail.
Well, you got the trailer park manager and like the other people in the trailer park too, though.
Yeah, and then you have Ricky with his like psychic powers, where he can get people to do anything when he's in trouble, when he's doing something wrong. Like
For
you know,
real?
like he's-
For real? You can
he's
do
trying-
that?
He's trying to like staple his balls together in the middle of the medicine store or in the middle of the pharmacy because he doesn't want to pay for it. And the guy comes over and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" "Oh man, I almost walked into the shovel. You better give me this for free." "It's all right. We'll take this stuff and we'll go." And he just like walks out with this stuff and like, and he
How
said,
did you get
"Matter of fact, give me your cigarettes." And Ricky, I'll give you a clip of it, and it's just him in court, Ricky in court. And he asked for permission to swear in court, and he's granted permission to smoke and swear in court. And he walks over to the prosecutor, and he's like, "My first order of business is get the prosecutor to shut the fuck up." And he's like, "Give me your smokes." And he's like, "I only have 2 left." And he's like, "I don't care." And they give it to him, and then and then it cuts to like everybody in the jury going for their cigarettes, and the judge is like, "Only the defendant, please," and they all put him away. But then he's smoking and swearing. It's just the best, dude. I can't go on and on about it, but I love it. I saw him live too and met him and stuff like that.
Man.
So pretty cool, pretty fun.
My favorite was when they go to the Canadian Parliament because they're going to make marijuana legal. And so they all load up in the car and they want to go protest it because, they're pot dealers.
Yeah.
And they're like, "You're going to shut down our entire industry." And they're like, "We'll give you a medical license to grow."
Wasn't there?
I don't know what that fucking is.
Wasn't there a movie about Humboldt County called Humboldt County, I believe?
Yes.
That
I think so,
was
something
sort of like, they went over the trials and tribulations of the growers there.
Mm-hmm. It's different.
I know it's
It's not
different. I
real.
know you just reminded me of it. I couldn't remember if it was a movie or a
Jesus,
show.
fellas.
What?
All this talk about marijuana has got me wanting to smoke some dope.
We'll smoke some dope.
Smoking dope.
Way ahead of you.
Not that anyone here would ever do that or endorse it.
Oh, never.
Unless it's legal in your state. Or your kids give you some good weed. Did you ever watch The Hive? On weed.
Did you ever participate in the Hive on
weed? That's like the best stoner movie ever. And he kills the horse with popcorn. Did I tell you about the state fair I was at where Dead Tony, or was it Chuck? Well, I was at the state fair with Dead Tony, the Wisconsin State Fair. And
Oh man.
and either it was either my ex brother-in-law or Dead Tony fed popcorn to a horse and was convinced he'd killed it because it was choking, and he ran away.
Jesus.
I milked the cow that day too. It was quite an adventure.
Sound like
weed.
I was probably on weed, yes. What?
Oh, it just sound like a cheesy kind of day.
You know, when you're 19 or 20, what else are you gonna do?
Milking a cow.
I'd never milked a cow, and my wife was like, "You're gonna milk a cow before you die." Okay, cool.
One good churn deserves another.
That's right. That's right. And I did it for $0.25 because that's all it cost. And I got a pin. I still have it somewhere. It says I milked a cow for $0.25.
Oh.
Wisconsin State Fair, 1989, or whenever it was.
That's utterly fascinating.
Yes, it is. Huh?
I was
You
1 year
better
old.
be careful.
What?
Here comes Blondie singing one way or the other.
Where?
At your cow milking.
I don't remember any music playing. Possibly.
One way or another.
So, Reince Priebus is out, I saw today.
Yes, rinse penis, yeah.
He's getting raked over the coals. Is that correct?
He's what?
He's getting raked over the coals. Is that correct?
I think so. I haven't read much about him yet. It just seems like
I don't know if I have it backwards, but is he being accused of being the leak?
Yeah, well, let's say that he's certainly suspected.
Ah.
What is going on? I have no idea.
Who and what?
About.
This is what
They're gonna let him.
I want to know.
They're gonna let him go so they can kill him.
What leak are they looking for? Because there's so many different alleged leaks. You know. Which one?
The one that really upset Scaramucci was apparently, they had planned a dinner. They had barely made plans for it, and they get to the dinner, and the press had already found out about it. So, and this was something that only a few people at a meeting, or a couple of hours before, or a very short while ago, had been privy to.
Or they were bugged.
That's what I'm thinking. I think it's all getting swept up in data collection.
Yeah.
There's nobody leaking anything.
It's probably all
just know.
This is the side plot. Has anyone been following the Imran Awan arrest?
No.
Oh, just a little bit.
Yeah, because that's way more important. Because this guy basically.
Oh, yeah.
It's probably because of the spyware network that guy and his firm possibly may have set up in Congress and the White House that this stuff is even being heard at all.
Yes.
Yeah, he had access to 25 different congressmen's computers.
No way.
And DHS, FBI, it was a whole bunch of different departments.
Wow.
Yeah, I think the media seems to really want to talk about Trump and whatever his mafia gang is doing, is how they almost phrase it, especially as Scaramucci certainly ain't helping.
That's a good point.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm definitely back on the Trump. Trump is not deep state this week. I am.
Yeah, I don't think he's deep state. I don't think he's deep state either. I'm not a political person, but I think I understand Trump better than some people, but I don't care what, to share my opinion.
I would say he is deep state. I would just say he's a really good figurehead, as to suppose he would not be.
I can see. So, he obviously, to me, he has some kind of connections, but I guess what it is. I guess there's probably a nationalist part of the hidden hand, and then there's a globalist part of it. So he's certainly with the anti-globalists, and that seems to be part of what he's trying to weed out. Also, is they're just the same crowds that are globalists also see this, are also the weasels. Because really, to be a globalist is to sell out your own country, and that's pretty weaselly.
He's a master distractor, though. One tweet can dominate the news cycle for days, and then they could just
Never
do
mind.
anything.
Never mind a tweet storm.
Yeah, that's actually kind of interesting that he does that, because it sets up this dichotomy between him and the press. So if it is all just a show, that's an interesting aspect of it, for sure.
It's common that they would have a distract effort, kind of like that.
Oh,
Well, that's just an extra layer of distraction on top of the distraction because they can bitch about that too.
See, I think he's the one that's distracted.
Interesting.
I don't.
He
I
might
want,
not know.
I also would like to know what has he done that's so horrible that everyone hates him for or wants to impeach him for.
He grabbed her by the pussy.
No, what has he done as president?
Yeah,
Colluding with Russia. They accused him of colluding with Russia to win the election.
Unproven.
Oh yeah, I mean
What-
the whole
this
thing
is-
comes down to that CrowdStrike report, which if you read, just basically suggests that because they didn't have their passwords right, this means Russia hacked in. Just because a few things point towards Russia, which can easily be faked by anyone that knows what they're doing.
Right, the Vault 7 leaks prove that.
Absolutely.
I can hear somebody's TV.
Oh my God! Everything we've done. I mean, our own
The
CIA.
Clinton Foundation was exposed in that whole leak thing, which got completely overlooked on purpose by the press. I mean, they're talking about Russia and all this, but I mean, all the documents also exposed the Hillary.
Well, have you been following George Webb stuff?
No.
Oh
no, with the Russian hacks, it exposed the DNC and the Clinton Foundation.
Right, but they weren't Russian hacks. It was an inside.
Well, I'm saying Russian hacks because that's what they're calling what had happened. But.
Right. There was a book that came out called Shattered that was written by the Clinton campaign people after the election, and in that book they state that two of the top, it was like some Hillary and someone else, I forgot who, cooked up the Russian story to use as a defense.
Yeah, I mean, the bigger story to me is the fact that not just the Clinton Foundation shit that got exposed, but the fact that it got exposed so blatantly and nothing has come from it. There's no investigation. I mean,
right, because
got people red-handed doing hardcore felonies.
Right,
Yeah.
and there's treason too. I mean, look, there's issues, and the issues point to the fact that the person who was ever running the FBI at the time was on their side.
But you say at the time, but the evidence is still there, and the same people aren't running the FBI. So what are they doing?
Look
they're all on the
into.
same
You got to look into what McCabe's at. McCabe's in Clinton's camp too.
Yeah. I can't buy this whole Russian enemy. I mean, I can see them as competitors, as there are other competitors, but enemy? Oh, please, let's grow up.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, they always call it enemy of the state. Russia's enemy of the state. So why are we talking to Russia? Why are we shaking hands with Russia? It's like, no, they're not an enemy. You guys are just trying to trump it up to be an enemy with your stupid media speech.
So Grim,
we should be looking at the bastards who killed JFK.
Hey Grim,
look today they're passing more sanctions against Russia.
This cycle story is the Cold War playing out again.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot in there. Even the DNC leaks. When the FBI went to
George Webb figured out, or believes he figured out, that the pizza and hot dog, all those references are actually code for the illegal materials that they were shipping back and forth between Pakistan and the port of Washington. Like depleted uranium samples, things like that.
Jerry,
yeah.
Hear me out on this, Jerry. If a Cold War is just the pretense of war, but it has not really taken off yet, couldn't a cold virus just be any virus that has yet to really get into your system? Think about it, Jerry.
Yes. Possibly.
Muted.
And your point?
Well, they say like when you get the cold that you're getting a cold virus, but that's bullshit. You're getting some virus, many of which could be known, could be the measles or whatever itself.
Right.
But it's in your histamines, it's in your nose, it's in your mouth or your ears, and so
it's your immune system reaction that you experience.
Yeah.
And depending on how nasty the virus, I personally I think they're nanobots. So whatever.
Well, if they're not bots, I mean, they're organisms just the same, which function on the same principles,
Yes, totally. Hey, Kim, how you doing?
So, back to this El Wine guy. That was
Owan?
Hi.
El Wine, yeah.
And his
he
brother
was
Omar.
Yeah, but they were everybody found out that they were doing bad things, and the only person that kept them employed was the
DNC Washerman.
The DNC.
Debbie
Washerman
Schultz,
yeah.
right?
She was paying for their silence, pretty much. I
And
think,
her brother is Imran Awan's lawyer right now.
Yeah.
It's all really fishy and shady.
And they all disappeared to Pakistan again.
And you know, let's not forget about Seth Rich.
With
anymore.
a bunch of servers. And
yeah, the destruction of
hardware,
servers and all these. There's been several times where they just destroyed hardware.
Yes,
but that really bothers me, especially the CrowdStrike situation.
Which are felonies.
Why bring in a third party to analyze something if you're going to destroy everything?
Well, the CrowdStrike thing was paid for completely by the Clinton Foundation.
See, I didn't know that. I thought it was paid for by the DNC. That's interesting.
Can I just interject something really quick? Debbie Wasserman Schultz tweeted me back on Twitter a long time ago.
When she was a nobody.
She said thank you.
She was a nobody. She was like a psychologist. It was about the old phones. You know, like everybody should have an old phone in their kitchen, and that way, you know, they could hear their kids talking. I'm like, how about if you just fucking trust your kid, you idiot? She tweeted me back. I totally saved it. So
that's awesome.
I know.
I won a bet with Rob Schneider on Twitter. I bet him on the World Cup finals, and I bluffed him. I said, I'll bet, because I knew he had season tickets and skybox seats at San Francisco Giants. And I said, hey, I'll bet you Fenway Skybox, because he's always in New England. I said, I'll bet you Fenway Skybox tickets if Spain wins. It was the World Cup. And he's like, you're on, Brandon. All right, I'll throw in a signed team ball if you win. And I was the big underdog, so I was taking a risk, and I won. And then we had a few direct messages on Twitter, and he just bailed. He just totally. I was gonna. Totally bailed.
What a piece of shit.
Who was that?
Yep, wicked piece of shit. It's Rob Schneider.
Oh.
And what a jerk, dude. He's a real jerk in real life. So, and I was gonna auction the to give the ball to charity. You know, I just wanted to autism charity I worked for at the time. So, yeah, he's not that creative a person.
Yeah, that would have been cool. Yeah, no kidding. What a dude.
Bigelow, you know, douche Bigelow, really. You know?
Did you tell him that? Did you tell him what you were going to do for charity, and he still welched?
Yes, 100%, man. And and I was going to be me, and and he was all for it too. And then he just blocked me.
He didn't think he could lose, is why he accepted.
Yep, he's a real gambler, and I knew it. And I bluffed him, and I called him, and he lost, and he's a sore loser. End of story. But I also got like a few celebrities to reply to me and notice me on Twitter a few times. Like
Jim Brewer followed me for a short period of time.
Really? Jim Brewer? I love Jim Brewer.
Yeah, me too. Hey, I wanted to add to the last thing about the Awan thing is that George Webb thinks it's there were 20 there's 80 to 100 congressmen or people who have had their phones secured by that company, and there have been 20 burglaries into those Democrat offices, and there may be some Republicans, and one of the dudes, or like two of them, are on the Senate Select Intelligence Committee, and they do all their email and stuff through these phones.
Wow.
Which is all getting backed up on these master servers, and those are probably the hard drives that have been smashed.
Yeah,
but
I don't think it's.
But the other master server, the backup master server, was like Anthony Weiner's laptop. That's how he ended up with all those emails.
I don't think it's possible, really, to send an email now without thinking that like somebody's going to see this someday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, you have to really watch it. You know?
Even with
internet is
with texting and chat, everything is monitored. I'm sure at some point.
Or does not give a shit what you say.
Right.
And you know, even well before the NSA, your ISP has always had copies of everything.
Yeah. Now they can sell it.
Yep.
So back to
my wife watched the WikiLeaks movie the other night, and she was all like, "Man, they were really collecting all that data," and it's like, Well, they had it, but if they're going to expend those resources to listen in on my phone calls, to search down my phone calls, then they're doing really bad. Like, they need some help.
Just look at all the shit that Snowden
They can have my
released.
conversation.
Look at what Snowden released. What has become of all of that information? Nothing.
Yeah, the Snowden movie. I'm sorry, not the WikiLeaks. The Snowden movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think Julian Assange to me is part of the construct. I mean, he might be a good guy, but he's still like a story.
Yeah, it was hard to figure out. Like, I don't know much about it other than what I saw in the movie, but it's really. My wife had the same reaction. It's hard to figure out if he's a good guy or a bad guy, but it's kind of like he's both. Like, yeah, it needed to be exposed, but what the fuck are you gonna do about it? They're still doing it just in a different way. You know, like, what does it really matter?
They're still doing it exactly the same way.
Yeah,
nothing changed.
Well, Obama a different algorithm.
Obama extended the law to let him do it. That's the problem.
Yeah, he might be part of them. You know, so it's like.
But the people that decide those things are above the president's cabinet. Like, they don't. You know, these are people that are in place longer than a president. Like, these.
I'm not talking about the covert spying. I'm talking about like the echelon program and the public spying that goes on 24/7. They might not.
Yeah, I think they get total fear porned
not
into thinking that aliens are among us and shit too. You know.
Oh yeah. Who does? Well, everyone thinks that.
The incoming president, man.
I don't think he buys that. Well, I guess maybe he does. Who knows? Who knows?
Maybe he gets some beyond proof type shit once he becomes the president. Because
that shit's about the president too. Like, that kind of like.
No. It all interplays. It all interplays. It just all interplays. Everything's connected. Like, that's where I've been this past week, has been on this let's absorb everything now, Kim, type thing. Like, going from one thing to another, and like everything is connected.
Yeah.
So like the aliens and the president, of course he would know about the aliens. He'd have to know about the aliens for his position.
Why would they let him know about it? That's just one more person. And one thing humankind isn't good at is keeping their mouth shut. And the more people you involve, the more likely it is to come out.
Well, maybe.
Well, see, why do you think we're awakening? They want it to come out because what's coming soon. They want us. They want a lot of us to wake up so that we start yelling, "Wake up!"
Or else we're
it's
fucked.
So complicated. It's so complicated. Like, I came across this really. Yeah, I'll have to give it. I'll send it to Jerry or something so that he can.
We'll
delve into it.
I want to hear all about it. Yeah, it's fucked.
I'm still researching. It's so hard to put into words. It's like,
it's crazy.
It's just so much, much information. Our language alone. We are cursed with our own language.
Yes, and we program each other.
Our language alone is the spell.
Yeah,
our language alone is the spell. So when we say "wake up" to people, it's actually helping the dark cabal, if you will, or the extraterrestrials or whatever with their agenda.
Possibly.
All our language does is helps them with their agenda.
How?
It's so complicated. I don't even know how to explain it. Okay. But I'll have to send you the links to this.
It's I could speculate a little bit on how. We have a lot of like idiosyncratic ways of speaking in the English language, and when you make a sound, that has a mathematical.
Yes, that's where I started there with the 9
correspondence. Yeah, it has a mathematical correspondence to electromagnetic energy, and the concepts you're thinking in may be perverted from what you think you're thinking them in, from the words that you use to pronounce them. So you could say, like, right as in righteousness, or right to the right, and these are completely different concepts, but the same word and sound is used, and this is a form of self-condemnation in terms of issuing and titling things in your reality and trying to interact with them. And something like telekinesis won't be possible until we speak the true name of whatever it is we're trying to talk to, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the thing. It actually is deeper than just that. Where you C, and C. You have the letter C, the I can see you C, and then like the water C. That it goes deeper than that. the even hidden meanings to these words, you know, and it all started with all my experiences this past couple weeks, and I did not go looking for this information. It was just like all of a sudden there was something else. I'm like, oh well, I need to look into that, and then I'd go look for that. No one told me about it, you know, and then I'd look into that, and I could put the puzzle pieces together, and then I'm like, oh, what's this? I got to look into that, and it went from like, I don't know, just how I came across the issues with my experiences actually being from the false light and being manipulated, you know. And it all started there. And then I came across...
Wait,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, you know,
like,
the realize, you know, that phrase? That's like one of the best demonstrations of that audio sonic kind of spell casting. When you look at the way you can spell that 3 different things, or those 3 different phrases, it's kind of like flexing your reality. And it's actually showing you like the effect of the realignment of the word, you know?
Yeah, Jerry, were you going to say something?
I was going to ask if your guides had come back.
Nope.
Nope.
Did you lose them recently?
I sent them off on their way.
Ah, they were fired.
She realized they were robots.
No.
Chatbots, rather.
You see, that is the lie. They are a lie. They are part of the darkness, the dark consciousness, the virus, if you will, within this matrix. It's to keep you trapped within this matrix. And they make you feel good. They give you a belief either in God or whatever. God is also a part of the matrix, which I grew up believing
that
God.
isn't part of the matrix?
Us.
Yeah, us. Well, we are because we're here. We're basically characters. We feed this dark consciousness or the ETs with our negative emotions, even our positive emotions.
Which they help generate.
Yes, and money is associated. It's really funny when this TDA shit came out, and I'm like, this, I know it's true. I know it's true, but there's something behind the scenes going on here. There's something more to this.
It's energetic.
This is a setup. It is energetic. It is energetic.
It's
and
currency. It's your current. It's your currency.
It is. Yes. 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 And it's not for your good.
No.
Trust me, it's not for your good. It's for the bigger agenda.
It's your energy being traded.
Yes, we're all thoughts. I'm going to tell you right now, we are all thoughts.
We were.
Everything is for my greatest good. Ultimately, it all serves me. Waha.
And that is how I got out my guides to leave me, actually. At my guides, the masters that visit me, the messages that come through when I'm falling asleep. I still see stars sometimes behind my eyelids. But remember, Jerry, when I talked to you, I think I talked to you privately about it.
Yes.
Was when I was meditating or I was taking a nap, and an equation flashed in my mind.
Right.
Remember me telling you about that?
But you couldn't remember it.
I can't remember it. However, this was before I even knew about the 9 code. This is before I even knew about our language. And as I'm researching all this stuff, there's a whole bunch of equations.
Mm-hmm.
A whole bunch of equations, and I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. But yeah, it's so much information. I will actually, everybody's a part of the Hangouts chat, right? I can put the links in there of all. The videos are like 2 to 3 hours long, but I'm going to tell you right now, they are, you need to watch them. Just get a drink, get your favorite snack, and just sit there and watch them, because holy crap, you are going to crap yourself.
If I haven't seen them already, possibly. But yeah, I know all.
You probably have. But yeah, I will post them in the Hangout chat.
I have this memory of knowing how to like chart on a graph like an exponential curve, and I knew this equation. It was real simple. And one moment I was in a reality where it was known, and then in the next I asked the same teacher who I thought was teaching me how to do it, and it was not known.
That's weird.
Mandela
and
effect.
I couldn't remember it. It was crazy.
Wow. But no, like the 9 code all plays into like our words. Like, yeah, it's like crazy.
You know, it's also an interesting layer to the language is the etymology, or like an etymological dictionary. When you look up the true definition of these words or what they used to be. For instance, the word nice. You know, oh, that's nice. I mean, it's generally a good thing, right? But in the past, like in the 1800s, to say something was nice was kind of, you're denigrating it or something. Oh God, that's nice. It's like you say it against your will. It's a lie.
Game used to mean happy.
Exactly. But I mean, the words change and the spells do not, though.
Exactly.
I
That's
don't know.
the thing.
Brandon's a linguist. Let's ask him.
They're totally enthralled with this.
The spell itself, though, is what we're saying doesn't change. Because it's
Isn't
You
the
have to
spell,
believe
like-
in the spell.
Yeah, because it all it all ties in to my experiences.
True, but you can't just say like one word and it's a spell. The spell
No, I'm
aspect.
saying the bigger agenda.
The spell.
The bigger agenda.
Yeah. But the spell aspect is in the construction
Jerry.
of, say, a story where you can you can read something and you, the reader, would imagine all of that, right? And depending on how emotional it is, it might affect you, and that's the spell magic aspect.
I think it runs deeper than that. I will
It
share
does,
videos
but on the
with you.
surface,
We were there last year.
Well, that's one of the layers.
Saw the stuff.
right? That's like the top
Yes,
layer
that is
of
one of the layers.
There's a weave to complex spells, and that would be like kind of the narrative is kind of like the master, kind of like the outline weave or whatever, and then language is a huge part of the spell. How it's understood, spellings used. It really is. So, to me, again, Jerry, what you're saying is kind of like the more macro, and definitely the more dominant social engineering, but all this other language stuff is like how it gets into the small spaces, and most importantly, it gets into our heads.
Right, and I think the sensationalism of
And
the
the
media,
energy.
the sensationalism of the media has increased the amount of spells that go into our heads, and by such they like push it down. It's like a stack, it keeps getting pushed down and down, and maybe that increases it on the output. Who knows?
Well, they also engage you emotionally. They'll usually will sell a story emotionally. So therefore, if to engage you primarily emotionally is to really bypass your logic or your third chakra, because it's the carrier wave is the emotional wave.
Is it?
And
That's interesting.
It gets received and heard at that level, but it contains all of the language in it, but the carrier wave is emotional, and it's to carry it in under your logical radar.
I completely agree. My daughter just sent me a text today. She said, I know you don't believe anything that the MSM news says, but this guy killed his wife on a cruise ship, blah, 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 blah. And she started out.
Sounds like it was bad for the wife and anybody who's on a cruise ship. But I mean, again, this is the whole thing that news does is here we are having maybe really decent day, and something happens out on a cruise ship in the ocean, and suddenly that's in our living room and that's our lives. That's fucked
right. Up. And ironically, it was on a murder mystery cruise.
Oh.
I had to point that out to her.
Oh, no way.
I saw one today on the New York Post that 2 people jumped to their death from a building in New York because they couldn't afford health care.
Oh, please.
I know. It's like,
God.
And it
We
said,
can't do it anymore.
Trying to say,
the man had a typed
this shit energy.
The man had a typed note in his pocket that began with, "We had a wonderful life."
Wow.
They're 50 years old. It's not like they were 90 either. They're 53 and 50. It's not. I can't.
Were they
believe
even
it.
sick?
I don't know. I didn't read it. The article.
No, I read the same story. Apparently, they were like way in debt, and they were running some kind of scam, and it had all like come to roost on them.
Interesting.
That's probably why they couldn't afford health care.
They couldn't afford a lawyer.
Yeah.
One quick swipe at Trump on the way down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, really. Frick you. But nothing happened.
Yeah, it's quite the kabuki theater these days, geopolitically, domestically. Oh my God,
it's hilarious. I think it is.
Yeah, and people seem to see things on less layers. I see a lot more layers and I'm quite intrigued by it all, I have to say.
Yeah, it does.
I saw one wacky story of it was a college where they had a communist group that the students were part of, and the story was that they had dissolved the group because they all realized that none of them were from working class families.
Right.
Did
They
you
were
see
all
the same
white.
one?
Yeah,
They're
they
all
had-
white.
Yeah.
So they dissolved it. Really
Yep.
gave me a
Was
chuckle.
it at Berkeley?
No, it
Or
was at some
Yale?
smaller
Okay.
university that I
At least they had some integrity then.
I remember hearing something about Yale getting on one of their professors for,
Oh yeah, I saw that.
being
It's
not
just-
politically correct or something.
Yeah, there's
Bullshit.
a famous video. It's actually the president of Yale being screamed at by these young students.
Oh, is it? I don't know.
Those kids needed to be slapped more as kids, or spanked rather.
Yeah,
that's
that's
the
what I put
result
in
of
the
the
comments.
children of the parents who let them run around and do whatever the fuck they wanted.
Yep.
I was actually disturbed by that video.
I was too.
Quite a
She was
bit.
screaming
Yeah,
at
I
him.
know.
Fuck you.
Cheesy and intolerant.
He sat there and took it. I would have called
He
security.
did. And he should have. Oh my god.
It's almost like psychosis. I mean, the natural thing to do in front of the president of Yale University, if you have aspirations of, well, going through school, should be fear and reverence, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's it's a
it
privilege.
should be
It's a safe space.
respect
It's a safe
and
space.
reverence.
They could do whatever the fuck they want there.
Why fear? Where's the fear coming from?
We could do it with respect.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of scream.
Well, I think I would be nervous if I was trying to confront someone at that level. I would be.
But that's the thing. Don't confront them.
Yeah, I
Walk
wouldn't
away.
confront him like that. I mean, you can always write a letter.
Well,
I
maybe
think
he
it
was he a
horrid.
white male? You know, that's
Yes, he was a white
okay.
male, and she
Okay,
was
all
a
right.
black
Well, you're
female.
allowed to have a hissy fit just because somebody's a white male.
No, you don't. If someone did that to me, I would plug my ears and walk away. Honest to God, I would not.
He
stand
should have
there
walked
for that.
away. There's no way.
And I would have went like this with my hands, making a whacking motion.
Yep. I would have
Talk-
expelled her the next day.
Maybe he did,
I hope he did. She was absolutely out of control.
or it was all a giant publicity stunt.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Although he seemed really kind of perturbed, and
He's a good crisis
was
actor.
yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know who he is.
Maybe it was a hologram.
Yes, that's very possible. Most
Did
people
you see
are
that they finally started arresting those people that caused the trouble at Berkeley a while back?
the Antifa people.
Oh, no kidding,
Yeah,
really?
the what's it called? By Any Means Necessary. She's I believe an Asian girl, really short, one of the ringleaders. She was a Berkeley teacher, just for I guess the local school district, and she had been, I believe, she's been brought up on charges inciting a riot, participating in a riot. I thought it was pretty interesting. You know, a lot of people, the wheels of justice turn slowly, and that's not the first time I've seen people think maybe they didn't think they were getting away with something, but I don't know. They go about their lives, think everything's fine, and then, charges get filed.
I just wanted. I looked up that Yale thing because I remember it was really interesting, and the woman was yelling at the professor, or he's a professor who. Okay, so they complained it was a Halloween thing. Wait, why's killing her? Stop calling me.
I got kicked.
Oh, did you guys get kicked out?
Yep. It's like Brandon.
Oh, wow, we did lose people.
Is it 12? Was it like 23, 33? Was there 2 3s in the time?
I have 11:37.
Yeah, I got 10:37.
Okay. Usually happens when there's 33s in there. Shit. Oh, okay. So I'm sorry, Professor. It was a Halloween. Some kids complained that there was offensive. They were offended by certain Halloween costumes, and the professor said, "Don't look at them. If you're offended, look away." And that's what she screamed at him about.
Yeah, except he was the dean of the university.
He's a master of the Silliman College at Yale. Nicholas Christakis. He's got Nicky, like Saint Nick and Christ in his name. Come on.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, I had no idea. That's probably a total fucking gag.
I don't know what his wife's name or what the woman's name is.
Oh, maybe it's
Anyway,
Mary.
but it was over an offensive Halloween costume that she felt she had the right to scream at a man.
No, I mean, if she was offended, she has the right to go and offend everybody else in that room and offend him, offend his kids, offend probably everybody that watched it because she got offended. So it's like the asshole, you know, you get cut off in traffic, right? And
Right.
so you catch up to the guy, but in order to catch up to the guy to flick him off, you got to be an asshole to 2 more people. And those guys get mad, and so like they're an asshole to catch up to you. They're an asshole to 2 more people.
And you'll be an asshole to people, and they'll tell 2 friends, and so on, and so on.
That's just the way it kind of spreads.
Yeah, that's the nature of the mind virus. That's the spelling. I think that's what that's all tied into at some level too, beneath it.
If you get those mobs of people that act like that, people would when you get people rioting and they're only there for the violence. They're not there for the reason. They're there to do the rioting act.
Right. But like, okay, so like the women, that lady was screaming. If she continues screaming loud enough for long enough, people around her possibly will become infected with the same fervor, so to speak, and it will get louder and louder. I mean, that's
well, even if they don't agree with her, they'll react in kind, and then she'll react in kind.
Correct. That's the whole mob mentality. That's the animal brain taking over. You lose control of your own personal, I don't know, critical thinking skills. You become you're a slave to your.
I'm on the freeway every day, and I see people with their like conservative bumper stickers, liberal bumper stickers. They'll have their kids' high school or junior high bumper sticker, and these people are probably normally logical, nice people, kind-hearted people, but when they're behind the wheel or in certain situations, like all of a sudden it's like it's Mad Max out there, everybody for themselves, and everything goes.
1 man enter, 2 men leave.
Yeah.
I used to, at a time in my life, had very provocative bumper stickers. I had one that said, my kid's smarter than your retard. Things like that. I had lots of triggering bumper stickers. Yeah, I would get tons of people honking at me, or I've had shit thrown at my car.
Yeah, I used to be a fan of being loud and proud about my smart ass opinions of
exactly.
society, but I figured the kind of people that are going to react to that are the kind of people that are willing to confront you and take it beyond the realm that now 10 years ago I didn't have as much to lose, and I didn't have as many responsibilities as I do now. I was willing to confront those people back, but now I don't want my car to get keyed, my tires to get slashed, get in an argument with some dude in a parking lot, take my time up.
So check this
people
out.
That react to that are real.
Have you're a gamer, right? You played some games, like
not like I used to.
But
I used to. Yeah.
You understand what aggro is, right?
No.
It's like a factor that the beasts have that you can get to a certain distance or antagonize them just enough to where they will attack you. It's like an aggression factor. It's called aggro.
I definitely get the concept.
Okay, yeah. Well, think about these people. What's their aggro factor? What's their aggro? How close do you have to get to flick these people into attack mode? And that's an interesting thing to measure.
On the person to person, but also situation to situation. Like some people, when they're having an all right day and somebody's been kind to them or somebody let them in, they'd react differently. But you catch them on a day when they got in an argument with their husband or wife on their way to work, and then they were 15 minutes late, so their boss got down their throat, and then they might react completely different.
Right. The aggro changes throughout the day based on your stress level.
Yeah, I mean, for people that aren't, you have to be, aware of yourself in order to keep those kind of things in check. But
yeah, totally. I mean, I just assume I'm going to have to drive home for 2 hours, so I enjoy the ride. I listen to podcasts.
Well, I had to find some way to deal with the traffic I got to go through, man. So now I just sit back and kind of, observe it and kind of learn from it and try and draw parallels to it.
Good evening.
Hey, Yvonne, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Is my microphone working okay?
Sounds fantastic.
Yes.
Okay.
Hello, Yvonne.
Sounds groovy,
Hi,
baby.
everybody. Is it groovy?
It is.
Cool. How to get
So what's going on in your world?
mine? Did you watch my latest?
I haven't had time yet.
That's what's been going on with me. I'm working on a second installment of that one, so if I explained it to you, it probably wouldn't make too much sense.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's in my watch later list. I did see it today, and I want to watch the 2-hour source before I see your response.
Well, no, that's not a response to that.
Oh, no. It was the short one?
This is just the mummy one.
Okay.
That's just my mummy thing. That's my little...
Oh, I saw the mummy one already.
Yeah, okay. I'm working on a part 2.
Oh. Someone else put out a response to the Corey Good defending himself. I thought that was you.
Oh.
That's in my watch later list. I already saw the mummy thing. That was hilarious.
No. Yeah, that was good. Yes, there's a number 2 coming.
Awesome.
And
did it have babies? Are mummy babies?
I'm not gonna share the information because you got to stay tuned because it's gonna be I'll give you a hint. Ayahuasca trip.
Awesome.
Yeah.
He came back from the ayahuasca land.
Maybe. Yep. Interesting stuff. How's everybody's what is it? Friday? It's Friday, right?
Yeah, it's
Friday. Friday evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
It's good.
Yes.
It's rainy here in the south.
Is it?
Steamy. Like 90. It was 97 today, I think, or yesterday.
Oh, that's lovely. That is lovely. Yep. I like it.
Wow, we didn't get to like 77, I think, today. It rained most of the day, or it was sprinkled, I should say.
That was yesterday. It was hot. Today it did rain. It didn't get much above 80.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I love the sun. Finally have some sun here in the Pacific Northwest, so I dig it. I'll take it.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yes.
Where did Grim go? He went to bed. Grimsteak is a butcher. Oh, Nomad's here. Good.
Hello, friends.
Yeah, I don't know
Hey, buddy,
everybody.
how you doing?
Nice to meet some people.
Good. How about you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good to hear.
I forgot to listen to the thing from Wednesday to figure out what we were going to talk about tonight. Do you remember? You're muted.
Yep.
No, it was Nomad.
Yeah, I was going to say. Not me. I don't know.
Nish
What is the topic?
Tonight? No, we're just BSing tonight.
Just BSing. Okay.
The Kwisatz Haderach.
Is he here?
Oh.
He's in chat.
He's in the hangout.
I'm looking.
What? Where are we going to talk?
Where am I in the Pacific Northwest? I am. Well, I'm not. I won't say where exactly I am, but I'm near Seattle. Near Seattle. Yeah.
I want to move to Olympia. I did want to move to Olympia.
No.
I'm not going to now.
I want out of here. Done with the rain. I am so done with the rain. Done with the rain. Yep. So, trying to get some new drawings started up here and see what you guys were up to this evening. Did I pop in?
We're just BSing. We didn't really have a good topic, so we're talking about Trump and the fake Russian evidence and what else? Reince Priebus getting fired. Chief of Staff number 2. And all the George Webb stuff. That's what we're talking. And the Iwan brothers.
Gotcha.
Which is really the bigger political story right now.
Oh, yeah.
And it's being completely ignored. The one thing I remember what I wanted to say about that. The bigger picture to all that is George Webb surmises that this spy network that was set up by them has allowed certain people to hold extortion influence over Congress or blackmail evidence because they have complete access to their devices.
Mm-hmm. I don't think you get to that level of that level of a power circle without a mutual destruction type deal. Like you don't get to that level without attending the parties and having done the things that they've done, like they all have really bad dirt on each other, and if it comes out, like there's, how many people have gone up missing or committed suicide in weird and strange ways tied to the Clintons and their foundation. So I mean, just think on a bigger level than just the Clintons. What kind of, not just your destruction, but your family and everybody that you care about. They're not going to let you get very far up the power chain without having dirt on you.
But it looks like the foundation's involved in organ harvest, organ trading, organ trafficking. I forget what they called it.
On the light side,
organ harvesting. That's what it is. Like in Africa and stuff. I guess a reporter found a box of corneas.
Yeah, there's so much corruption.
Yeah, I mean, there's
it runs deep. I was actually just talking to my girlfriend about this. Like, she's starting to have these conversations, and she's not too into conspiracy. And I was like, what if I just dedicated my life to exposing some of this bullshit? And she's like, no, you'd die.
No, it's all exposed.
Yeah, but not. I mean, it's exposed, but it's never going to be in the mainstream.
Because the people.
I mean, that's not the first resort that they'd go to, but it is a resort they would go to. Depending, I mean, you're talking about people that do worse things than that. You don't think, as long as they could do it, if the cost benefit and versus the cost analysis ever gets to a point, they would do anything.
Oh, exactly, and especially if you have too much influence and you start speaking out,
like David Seaman,
like Chris Cornell.
I'm kidding. Was he talking
what
about
about Chris Cornell? What is that?
He started speaking out about human trafficking.
Did he really?
Yep.
So did Steve Scalise, the guy who got shot.
Also, supposedly Chester Bennington of Linkin Park did as well.
Who's John Podesta's clone.
And he just, yeah, right. That's an interesting conspiracy. But either way, the fact that he committed suicide on Chris Cornell's birthday as well. I mean,
it's all distraction.
Maybe he was depressed because they were friends, I mean,
what if Cornell's
but either way,
clone
like you
killed
said,
himself?
it is strange.
What if those were guys that killed themselves were just clones, and the real ones just took off to like the other land, the real land, the land behind the ice wall.
I don't know.
They
But
ascended.
That industry does breed the mentality. Imagine being given everything and having everything, and then the only thing you really have are drugs and other facets of life that aren't probably good to feed endlessly, like ego and buying things and people never telling you no, and then you're not able to cope with everyday problems. And so sometimes like a problem will happen in their life that you or me could probably deal with because it's normal life, but it just seems monumentous to them, and they do crazy shit because they're already on a lot of illegal drugs, if not a lot of legal drugs from their yes men that get them prescribed anything they want.
Their handlers.
So I mean, suicide does happen in that industry quite commonly.
Plus,
it definitely does.
It's not,
and it makes you wonder if it is pharmaceuticals.
Oh, I mean, a lot of it is. I mean, the pharmaceuticals, depending
fuck
on
with your head.
drug you're talking about, but the illegal drugs, meth and all that shit messes you up pretty bad. But these legal psych drugs, dude, they actually target the levels and the processes in your body that calculate how much chemicals you have in your brain, which
like serotonin.
But we don't know that these guys ever were on drugs. Or what?
Chris Cornell, yeah, he was on.
I know, but
Robin Williams.
Drugs.
It's a story. It's a story.
And also, what's the most common side effect of pharmaceuticals?
Suicide,
needing more.
Depression.
Well, the pharmaceutical companies are in programs that are involved with medical MK Ultra.
Right.
That I know as a fact because I was in one. So I've been in it. So, but at the same time, you have to. I don't appreciate how when Chester died, less than 24 hours, there's conspiracy theories going crazy cuckoo out there. And it's like, wait a minute. So you guys are claiming for a fact that you have this information. Where's the factual proof? Where's the evidence? It's not even 24 hours. Can we grieve the guy first? There's this line though that seems to be drawn with
Did his name
conspiracy
add up
theory
to
stuff.
33?
It's like,
Genuine,
can we just
remorse when your friend dies, and there are people, you know,
yeah.
And it makes you wonder, or it makes me wonder at least, if that's all on purpose.
Yeah. Did either of their
Because
names
people are
add up to
paranoid.
33?
Well, that's the thing, though. I mean, you can make
Yes.
any claim, and you don't have to be disproven to make the claim. You know,
Right,
shit
but-
still sticks.
It could there yeah, and I mean the stuff that people are saying, there could be some truth in it, but there could also just be, can we give their family some peace first instead of jumping to Podesta's dad and
Yeah,
you know this and this. And I get it. I mean, I saw the day that the wife's Twitter account had those messages. Yeah, I find that pretty odd. However,
That was his wife's.
yeah, the wife's Twitter account got hacked and had said some pretty interesting statements. But however,
Allegedly.
that is allegedly exactly. You can't.
Or she's
Did it even get hacked?
It's amazing to me how people are so adamant. I know. They cram it down your freaking throat. No, you don't know anything. Research it. And I'm like,
The earth
oh,
is
so you
flat,
have
you
facts. You have
globetard.
facts in your lap right now that you could prove that this is what took place. So I don't know. I just think some respect to the family needs to be given, because you can be damn sure that his older kids are going to be on Facebook and social media and see where it
Absolutely.
says that his
Look at-
father
look
was
at-
murdered.
Look at the Tupac and Biggie thing. I read an article not too long ago where Suge Knight doing time in prison, and it being after any time that he could face any kind of charges for anything, came out and told, you know, what he said was the real story. And it was his old lady that he was divorcing at the time that was trying to take control of his record studio. But it was easier to take him out. So it was actually his old lady had hired some hitman to do it.
Mm-hmm.
To take him out, and that's basically how Tupac got shot.
And who knows? You know,
there's endless conspiracies about
Exactly.
him being the Illuminati and all these different reasons why he got killed. When simple greed and you know a bad marriage, you know,
that could have been all it took.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, a lot of people
it
are-
makes you wonder too, and it's easy to jump on conspiracy trains nowadays.
It is,
And
because
that's one of the things.
That's one of the things
Because
that makes any good conspiracy good, is that you can be like, oh, it's just a conspiracy theory, you know. So it's almost like the people that are involved in bad shit and bad cover-ups are making conspiracies popular, so that not only that they can make fake ones, but other people are joining in and just
right.
There's a great amount of disinfo conspiracy that's taking place, and so all the real stuff that's going on is just getting muddied and overlooked.
Exactly.
It's
That's
a
what I was
great
just gonna say.
scheme. It's a beautiful scheme, and it's exactly what's going on in alternative media. "Quote unquote," ufology meets New Age,
blue chicken
and there's some
distraction.
kind of marriage that's trying to take place there, and that just needs not to happen. And that right there is concerning. And that is, you know, these people talk about, you know, oh, the cabal, the disinfo campaign, da 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 da. Well, guess what? Hold up a freaking mirror, because I have a feeling these are the people that are the disinfo campaign.
Yeah, what if it's self-induced information,
Mm-hmm.
or even on a deeper level, what if it is part of the mind control evolution,
Mhm.
and that maybe that's part of the mind control, we're being mind controlled into being conspiratorial because we've been lied to so many times, and maybe that is part of the agenda, just push
Maybe that's
this
just
weird information to confuse the shit out of people and make people think conspiratorial.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it's a lack of trust. We lost trust. So
Absolutely.
we can't trust
Because we
anything
know
anymore.
that the system is fucked.
Exactly.
Because we know that the system is fucked, there's going to be all kinds of rabbit holes to go down. So it comes down to trying to discern and trying to just say, okay, this is just utter bullshit. But I mean, when it comes to like Chester dying on Chris's birthday, was that just something romantic? Did he even know? Do we know that he even knew? Do you know what I mean? Was he?
Yeah, they were.
Was he in? Was he?
Oh, true.
Yeah. I mean, it could be. I mean,
but what I would say to that is when shit like that happens, I look at it and go, okay, that's part of the show. It's part of the movie. It's not real.
Yeah, it seems that way.
It's not real.
It does seem that way.
There's no way that all these coincidences can happen. And they cannot all be planned. I suppose they could, but that's a lot of production there.
Well, there's a lot of time I'm sure that some of these corrupt individuals have.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's as many of them as we...
But either way, the fact that we are having this conversation...
I don't think the network can be that big because, like I was saying earlier, the more people you involve, the more people can't keep their mouth shut. And once you start involving all these people...
Right, which really points to the fact that it's probably not people doing it. There are hidden masters. There's puppet masters somewhere they're hiding that we don't see.
But do you think they could be people?
No, I don't think they're people. They could. Okay, they could be. I don't know what they are.
They're alien to us.
They're alien to us.
Yes, that is very true.
They're alien to us. They're what I consider AI, or the opposing AI, bad AI.
They're blinded with power, probably. They're probably human individuals that have been, in their controlling powerful families for so long.
Correct.
They form the corpus of that small group, but there's a heart in all of that, and it's not a whole lot of people given the world population, and it has just to do with the way the world has been configured and the fact that some of these unseen hands control levers of the current monetary system, and it's kind of almost like a ransom thing.
If there's a bad entity or a bad side, wouldn't that automatically mean that there's a good side?
Well, I don't consider the bad side bad in of their own. They're just who they are. Like sharks going to.
Or is that just the natural, cause and effect of human nature is
good and evil?
We get to a point where we're basically going to get so bad that the society can't stand anymore, and then it starts all over again. And it's done it, infinite amount of times before, where we build up and basically get too big for ourselves.
Maybe we could stop it this time.
Yeah,
that's what the last one said.
What if you are into manifesting what happens, what if the collective, and people are going to like that I said this, what if the collective took part in him passing on his birthday? What if? Because it's like the 27 club once,
right. Maybe that
and it happens in threes.
He was on another.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is, but if once you mentally are thinking, okay, somebody just died this 27. Oh, there's another one that died at 27. Who's going to be next? So when you have the collective thinking, oh, somebody else is going to die, that manifesting
how much
that
of the collective? How much of the collective is thinking that?
Not much.
I don't know.
Yeah,
that's what I would say. But
you don't know that.
More of the collective, I would say, are thinking about the fact that there is rampant human trafficking, and
I would say more thinking about when football starts. To be honest.
Yep, you're probably right. You're probably right about that, dude.
But
most people don't even read past the headlines on a news article.
I have a hard time watching football after I heard about the NFL and their non-profit status and how much. Oh man, it's so crooked. It's so crooked.
They proved to themselves they were fixed. They proved to me they were fixed last year, 2 years ago with the Deflategate. When they were sued by some season ticket holders, their defense was printed on the back of the ticket that this is a show for your entertainment only, and there's no guarantees of any kind of legitimacy to the game. And it was dismissed.
And the sad fact about that is, with the new reports that just came out, that all these people participating in this possible ruse are totally just ruining themselves. I mean, granted, they're making big money while they do it, It's like pretty much you're gonna, you know, have a good job for a while, but you're gonna suffer from extreme like Alzheimer's at an early age and probably die around the age of 60 from brain trauma.
If they're
unless you're the fourth string, be the backup, and then you still make a good 150.
Yep. That would be the best job possible.
But Yvonne, to your point, yes, I agree. We should manifest our own future. We need to manifest our timeline where we want to be and get out of this one.
And that's one thing I think.
Crazy.
That's one thing I was just talking about with my girlfriend too. I think just discussing these things, especially like the corruption that occurs, helps. Bringing it into the light is what eliminates it. That's the only way we're really going to be able to do it, unless there's a stupid all-out war.
What kind of war?
Most people like us, we don't want war because we realize it's pointless. So it's going to be a war of like the minds, I think.
There's already a war of minds.
Right. Yep. I mean, that's what people say.
It's been happening for a while.
Spiritual war that's going on. That's what that's all about.
Right.
Your spirit, your will.
And dude, it makes you wonder: are we here recruiting? Is it?
No, we're here waking people up, man. As Kalendal says.
Isn't that what he meant by recruiting?
Yeah.
What?
But not.
You throw my name around like I don't say waking people up.
You said waking niggas up.
Oh yeah, I say that.
Yes, you do. That's what we're doing.
Waking
or not,
niggas
or we're just
up.
fucking around being high. One of the two. Or both.
Yeah, I hope I didn't dismiss that when you said about, you know, there's good guys, there's got to be bad guys. I mean, I guess, yeah, bad. I was trying to make sure we didn't use the word evil, because I like to reserve evil for what happens to, you know, one human does to another, or one of these other things does something.
Yeah.
You know, evil is an action.
Yeah. I don't think there's evil in nature.
Yeah.
I don't think in the bigger scheme of things, whatever the next, you know,
it's
antagonistic. There's no evil, but evil's what we do. You know,
yeah, it's antagonistic, and in this case, there seems to be a certain. I mean, it seems to be a miscreation that antagonizes us, and it's very envious and quite jealous of who and what we are, the light we hold, and all it really can do is mimic us and mess with us by understanding us like a predator would understand its prey. And then by that study, they've learned different ways. You know, it's a multifaceted story. It goes. You know,
the word evil is live backwards.
Yeah. Well, and what's really interesting, if you do it like in the German or Old English pronunciation of "evil," which is, you know, E-F-I-L, then backwards is life. So you kind of like what this is. This is like there's something that hates. Or borderline hate from jealousy and envy of life on this planet, and that
maybe it's
like the force that creates life would have to have a counterpart. So evil would kind of be a representative term in that way in our language.
Or maybe it's something that's just in this realm, in this life, and once
that's duality, though.
Something
not existent. They're back on this one.
Yeah, I just feel, you know, you can see there's a principle of homeostasis, you know, in reality, and especially if you look at the galaxy and stuff. So, but that homeostasis is dynamic, and so that means there's always going to be imbalances within the systems that need constant balancing. You know, it's kind of like walking across a tightrope. You know, you don't walk just straight up and down. And so
these are just like referential concepts that we kind of look at the world through as a lens, kind of, so to speak.
I'm looking at, as you speak, you know, this yin yang symbols popping in me, and I mean, for me, that's a really transcendental, almost mind altering thing to just having meditated on multiple times. Now to look at is to almost fall into that trance state.
Yeah, that's a badass logo too. I like that, man.
It's the model of the sun and moon over a flat Earth too.
There is so much said in that.
Yeah, I've been ever since I've kind of gotten into this area, you know, and kind of opening my mind up a little bit. Like I really taken to I've always liked the the symbol, but I've really taken to it more now that I'm noticing the duality and everything, and how even the most complicated thing, when you break it down, is just beautifully simple. At the same time, like everything is just how nature works, and one thing works off another. You know, the bees feed the plants do that. You know, it's so complicated, but it's also so simple at the same time. There's duality in almost everything. It applies in a lot of ways.
What about the fractal nature of everything? How the macro is the same as the micro, and so on.
But it's almost like down to its most common denominator, to an easier way to understand it.
Yeah, that's like the duality matrix that we're in, is what that division is. That's the schism, the rift, whatever you want to call it.
To me, what's sweet about them is because each one of them is not absolute in its color. In other words, each one has something of the other in it. And so for me, that's also...
they can't exist without each other.
Well, it's also the same. There is no absolute. Like, even though there's a predominant good, there's no absolute good.
You know, I
predominant.
was having a really good kind of like meditative moment, you could say, on the divine masculine, which is, you know, it has the eye of darkness, which to me represents like a hollowness, which men might represent in their most masculine form. And I thought that like a more complete version of humanity, or a man, would be someone who's found true love and would light like a candle within the darkness of that hollowness, and kind of like bridge this gate and connect with the divine feminine eye to eye in a way, because the darkness cannot see it. So in a way, like the divine masculine is the demon hunter, you know?
Yes.
I actually heard, I think it was Joseph P. Farrell talking today about called the proto-human. The first human being was an androgynous being. And the legends that he was, I forget which ones he was talking about exactly, I'm sorry. But he was citing one as saying that the god said, this being is too powerful, so it was then split into its masculine and feminine parts, which were not as powerful. So maybe that hollowness represents the lost feminine aspect that was split from that story.
What was that? What was that eye thing you were talking about?
The what?
What did you...
Oh, sorry, that was him.
Killendal? What was that?
Oh, well, the divine masculine is, you know, it's the eye of darkness, you know, and
the eye of Horus.
This represents like for me, I can understand my life that way. It's almost like I've taken in the data through my eyes and I've made sense of the objects in my reality, and only the light that has come through my iris has formed this sense of reality. And that's very much in line with divine masculine energy, but finding unconditional love, or like true love within that matrix that kind of gets taken in through that iris, I think lights like a candle or a spark or an awareness of what you could call God or whatever, love. And it connects with the divine feminine in a way where you feel like you're integrated with your entire reality, or you're just like your intuition, or that divine spark within yourself. You're like integrated with that, and you start to have a more synchronized or telepathic or supernatural kind of like interaction with your reality or companion, you know, who represents the divine feminine to you.
You could just say you're more in better harmony with your environment.
Yeah, and I just thought that a more true version of infinity would actually have like a little flame in the eye of the divine masculine, and something going on the divine feminine to kind of counterbalance that. But
it's interesting because I actually drew my wife a handkerchief like probably 20 years ago of a yin yang with one side was water. It had our names, you know, formed in it, and one side was water, and the water was, you know, melting into the other side, which was fire. You know, at that point I was 18 or so. I didn't really even know what it meant. I just like I said, I always liked the symbol, so I drew it in there. But you know, it's interesting now that I have it, and the symbolism that I've kind of put into it that I wasn't even aware of now. You know, it's our names in, one side on the other, and one side's water, and one side's fire. It's kind of a kind of a trip now to look back on it.
Yeah.
We got it hanging up in our hallway.
Nice.
I love the yin and yang because it makes me like totally understand that my greatest adversary is my counterpart, not something to be feared or ignored or ran from, It's just part of the whole. So like if you call that Satan or whatever demonic influence you want to label it, extraterrestrial, reptilians, they're all just like a symbol as like, if I believe like my reality is a reflection of my state of mind self. So if I have reptilians coming and going, then that's a macrocosm of a microcosm that I'm participating in. And that might be the kind of degradation you would suppose the reptilians are putting onto the human species. So that'd be like a within without kind of an experience. So I kind of embraced that whole logic very much, and I like that way of thinking. And I think at the highest levels of embracing that, you neutralize the greatest level of severity entirely. And it's actually just like old friends coming together type stuff.
I like that.
Sorry, I'm reading the chat.
Hmm?
I was reading through the chat.
Ah.
So how about that eclipse?
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked for that.
Yeah, me too.
Energetically, I mean, I think it's going to be a cool thing to observe. But boy, I just feel some really big.
There's some dark, there's some dark, dark energy harvest coming on that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple way. I mean, I'd like to think basically what it is the net's going to be dragged through the swamp, and but and I don't just mean DC. I mean, there's the hidden hand. I'd like to see the hidden hand, kind of get unveiled during this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. More of what's going on.
I would like to see extraterrestrials.
Why?
Because I would like to be enlisted in the Galactic
Federation.
I'm gonna enlist in Starfleet.
What makes you think you haven't seen them already? What makes you think that they don't look just like us?
What makes you think they're real?
They do look just like us, some of them.
Or that they're that advanced and they're gonna come all this way to fuck with us.
Only once we liberate ourselves, but yes.
Couldn't they just dominate? Couldn't they just completely squash us and not even, blink an eye?
They're Starfleet, bro. You never watched Star Trek, man.
If there were really aliens, yes, they would have conquered us already.
Unless they've got the Prime Directive.
Yeah.
Which is retarded. That was all programming. Star Trek was like all MK Ultra, man. Jeez.
Yeah. Dude, it's so real. It's so real.
Let's go to Mount Shasta and meditate.
Oh, I'm not even going to comment on that.
So real.
We could go to Agartha and talk about it.
You could drink Nestle's water.
I actually saw someone. I don't
or
remember.
Go to the holodeck, huh?
We live in a holodeck, dude.
Beam me up, Scotty.
There was someone just put out a video about Agartha being a consciousness, which is totally what I think it is. But that's an interesting idea that it's a collective consciousness more so than a place, inner Earth.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought of it as a collective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's nice. Oh,
because
sorry,
Jerry doesn't believe in other planets, does he?
No, I don't know what they are. That's all. I don't believe the NASA version of them. No.
You don't believe Jean-Luc Picard is out there waiting for you right now, Jerry?
I bet in an alternate dimension there really is a Jean-Luc Picard. Because everything we think up and put energy and intention to manifests somewhere.
Well, I mean, we can assimilate and make it our dimension and meet the fucker like real quick.
He didn't have it that good. He drank fucking Earl Grey tea all the time.
Dude, I love Earl Grey tea, okay?
I've bust around. No, believe me, I would love to live in a Star Trek Federation universe. I would sign up totally. But I don't think we can leave this place.
Dude, you're guaranteed ensign. I'm telling you.
I don't know whose job I'd want. Sulu's probably.
You'd be on the bridge under John Luke's foot, ordering up those commands.
You'd be calling me number 2. Number 2.
Number 2. Come on, man. If extraterrestrials are real at all, they have to be operating under some guise of like the Prime Directive or something like that, or at least wanting to just operate in obscurity of being known.
That I would agree with. I don't think there aren't. Oh, how can I put this? If there are, quote unquote, aliens, extraterrestrials, they're coming from other dimensions, not from space. That's my view.
Well, hold on now. They can both be true. They could be coming from this dimension and others.
Well, I don't think that space is what
the different dimensions to make the travel actually realistic and not take light years.
I like what Darcy just typed.
What?
Do you believe all we know is all we are?
No. I don't believe it. But what I was saying is I don't think space is what everyone... I don't think it's like this infinite void. I believe it's a representation of something, maybe of consciousness itself, like a three-dimensional map. And as we become more aware and our consciousness expands, it's going to come in closer because these things are already here. Or they're at least in the container with us.
Our overlords have arrived.
So, like Mars. Mars could have beings on it, and it's probably a timeline, another dimension, whatever you want to call it. But it's here with us, just like phase shifted a half of whatever wavelength. We can't see it because it's frequency barriers between us and it.
But then I'm speaking from my experience. When I left this matrix with my near-death experience, when I left, I was in utter knowing of what the word and feeling of love is and supposed to be. Nothing as what we know here to be on this planet or this system, this matrix, because it's so congested and it's a false love. And it was complete and absolute.
What you felt was false?
What we know, what we think we know love to be here is false.
I've heard people say that experience that you had is also part of the false light system. I
didn't go through the light. I didn't go in the light system.
I know it's not the light, but I mean, the death experience.
I see. It's I don't
know that. I'm just saying.
Part of my whole thing when I came back, and the whole thing with the the people that I've met and interviewed, and the whole thing is trying to research and have an understanding, try to understand this and where it was that I went. So this is I'm still working through it, still trying to understand it.
Did you happen to go where you expected, or did you have expectations? Because a lot of evidence points towards you go to an experience, call it a green room, if you will, to the next life or whatever, that matches your expectations. So if you think you're going to go to hell, you're going to have some kind of hellish experience.
No, this was a place that I had never. It was not a mental manifestation of my creatrix of where I was.
Cool.
No.
Holding room.
Can you recall what it was like then, or can you not recall it then?
Oh, yeah. When I left, I went through this dark void. and it was a black void, a dark void, and I actually, this is the interesting part, I was in another universe, and it was not the universe of which we know here or think to know here. I was with the creator, creating in creation. Everything was all knowing, all peace, absolute love, but complete other senses of which we don't even know here that I brought back with me. It was like the word silence. How do I explain this? It was a beautiful silence because there was no noise, and we are bombarded by noise here from our electrical systems, from our the matrix, the whole thing. It's a grid system of noise. There was no noise there, but there was this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. There was just this beautiful sense of knowing that there's this the source, the energy source of how do I explain this? There was just this knowing of utter serenity. It was an absolute serenity. I didn't have there's no
Did
fear. There's no.
Did you observe like small creations or cosmic like galaxies or?
It was another universal. It was another. If you could picture yourself in another universal galaxy system out there, it was like being out there.
I've had an experience, what some people call a keynote, where you feel like you are aware of the whole galaxy that you're in, like you're human person. You just like zoom out, and I've had this before, and I felt like I could see the whole galaxy, and I felt like I was at one with it, and I understood like exactly how I was in like synchronous with it at that moment, and how I was able to go that big because I was so specifically in that synchronous moment. You know?
Yeah, see, no, during this near-death experience at the same time, I had an impact to my head, okay? And I had a traumatic brain injury, and so there are things that happen with that where it was, oh gosh, I don't know if I want to branch off into that story, but I'll just say I question, there was this pineal power up, this pineal, I myself have never done DMT, ayahuasca, or anything like that. Things that I've researched on and studied, though, there are similarities to that NDE with that, because I impacted my head square at the center, just a little bit to the left of center of my forehead. Okay. And it was that reset the old me. And I'm going to say it plural, me's, because of alters. I'll just leave it at that. And then, so anyhow, so this, where was I going with this? So the experience of leaving here, again, it was a dark void, but when I was out of this system, it was just this complete and utter knowing of all source, the source, not, and I don't want to use the term God, but just source, just this beautiful energy source, and so many more senses that it's like our senses here are in a fucking jail cell. Okay. So anyhow, I forget where I was going with that, but when I came back, I was actually in two dimensions for a couple of years. And then it was 2015 where I started to really like, wow, boom, wake up, right? I'm awake, and I start doing all these things, and I still have these pineal experiences 24/7. And I just recently found out that's because I have a cyst on my pineal gland.
That's I actually speculated Edgar Casey got an injury when he was a young kid. He fell off a fence post, and a nail went directly through the top of his head, like at a right angle, right where you would imagine the pineal to be. And I think that's what happened to him as a kid, and that's why he was able to observe people's auras and stuff like that. Cause
yeah, and it's amazing because the stuff, and I'm a completely different person now than I was before. Absolutely, completely a different person. So, I'm just been on this journey to understand, and I'll say the old me. I'm trying to, or me's, the old me's, and what all that was, and then now this journey, and what a journey it's been. So, sorry, I hope I didn't hog up the whole dialogue there. I didn't mean to.
No, it was awesome.
It was just, oh, okay.
Feel free.
But I think what really through this last year, and I get very emotional about it, is it really bothers me that there are these factions out there that are false factions, and just where it's just this energy harvesting kind of thing going on, and I'm going to end it there. I just have to stop there. But anyway,
it's draining. Emotionally, physically. I mean, I understand.
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, I get upset because I know that there's something not right taking place. So I get very, my warrior, I get very just, no, this is not right.
Oh, there's something very right taking place. I can tell you that.
Yvonne, I have to agree with you that what's going on, it troubles me greatly. It is a lot bigger than it looks.
Yeah.
It's people don't understand.
Yeah, it's everything. That's what no one understands.
And it's we have, I'm awake. No, there's this pseudo false state of awareness. These people, a lot of people think they're awake, and it's not real. And it's like, no, you're not. You are not awake. I hate to tell you this, and I'm not. And I'm not saying I'm all knowing at all. But the why I'm sad is because that I got it. I just have to be careful what I say. So anyhow. Yeah, I'll just go ahead, Mod.
Yeah,
Mod, I think you understand where I'm going.
Yeah, I mean, I call it, what I call it, the Mr. Spaceman scenario. I mean, everything that I felt about it when I heard about these counseling sessions that are going to be offered, I'm just thinking, wait, this is kind of weird that something that everybody thinks that they want, that when it gets delivered, they're going to need counseling. And I just really feel they're going to try and make this one world religion. It's going to be the law of one religion, and to kind of like catch everybody off guard, they're going to present it kind of like to the space crowd, but like to this crowd. But coming from out of the wings will be the Pope going, yes, we recognize this message to unite us all. I mean, and then I can just see Khomeini, the Ayatollahs. I can just see this being the cover for a one world religion, but because it starts out kind of like Star Trek-y, that it catches everybody off guard. If Pope Francis were to be the greeter, everybody go, this smells wrong.
I think the religion is gonna marry with science, man.
Yes. Well, okay, hold on now. Let's backtrack for a second. You don't forget now. You have some recent players in alternative media that are showing some relations here with the Vatican.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got that, okay, and I'm just let me get this thought out. So you've got that. So this is a deep state issue here, and then you've got you've got what if the whole, not the whole, you have this giant mind controlled disinfo energy harvesting system going on,
which it is.
Okay, and
you've got all these followers who are
need
just
to choose my words wisely.
You've got tons of fans who are being harvested and are going to have their dreams crushed.
Yes.
The ultimate question would be, what is it distracting us from?
Our greatness.
Yep, it's distracting from our human potential that everyone possesses. That's what I think, honestly.
People say that a lot, but where's the practicality in the direction that we go with that? I mean, my belief is supernatural fucking power, somehow manipulating your electromagnetic fields and energies and other bullshit like that. But
part of our greatness is recovering our magic and where that magic comes from.
We just have to imagine ourselves in a future where we're magical.
But we have
exactly.
We've
in
been
order
magical.
to do that, we need to lose the concepts that our society has created of all those things.
The priests got in the way and of our magic first, and then the scientists got in the way of our magic.
Yep. So true, dude.
But I really think the way to get it back is this visualization of yourself in the future, because our thoughts create our futures. So if you know that you're going to have more magical power next year, you will, because you're visualizing, you're manifesting.
You go out into nature and you feel the power that is there, and you realize that is your birthright, and you have the power of source running through you.
There you go.
Exactly.
That and it's that source that is that which they are after.
Yep.
I would just pay a word of caution when you call in things like magic. These are basically tools, and tools are supposed to have a purpose. So,
but
I wouldn't even
basically inviting.
There's a huge mistake going on here when people are making a mockery out of certain sigils and certain
hand signs.
Yes. And when you're comparing this hand sign to Jesus, you are telling me that that thing needs to be revered, just like Jesus, or
that's
just
what the counseling is. It's to me. It's
okay. Now, but there's other things there are other symbols and sigils and these things. But when those things are being made fun of, that is very dangerous. It is not. There's a disrespect going on, a great disrespect going on to these
see, I don't even
what I'm trying to say.
I don't know if it's necessarily disrespect. If anything, it might be the middle finger to the way things have to be or should be.
No, there is power in sigils.
When you're making fun of it,
is
absolutely.
Deep power in sigils and sigil magic, and there's deep power in any kind of symbolism that you incorporate into your
daily routine,
whatever it is. When you are making fun of that and trying to make light of it, you are disrespecting, and you are trying to blindly pull people away from the truth to what is being said. There's a great distraction going on, and
definitely when you're making fun of it.
When you're telling me that this hand signal is just a hand signal, and you're putting a picture up of a blue avian with Jesus and Baphomet, you're telling me that this blue avian needs to be revered just like a god, and you are telling me it is a god. That is very dangerous.
I think I speak for the blue avians when they say they do not want to be associated with gods.
They've even
or
said
with
that.
humans.
Well, I think that's part of where the break can be, where they might actually come out and say that the God that you've been have been worshiping is is a little off there. Maybe
or
even
all
coming
of
up with
it
a
is a
Gnostic
distraction.
thing. But having again, they have a new revelation. Basically, it's like you can forget all the other revelations. This is the new revelation.
Or what if it's just a new distraction?
what revelations are.
Of course, it's a distraction, but it's real. I mean, I don't know if it's real, but I'm saying it could be. It could be program. It could be a mind control program. These blue avians to whomever sees them. You don't know.
These blue Asians.
The blue Asians. We don't know what nature, if it's completely made up or it's a hallucination or if it's an astral experience.
I would say it's an AI, maybe.
I would too.
Or if it's mind control ultra evolved over several centuries.
I'm under
decades.
I'm of the
I
opinion,
vote for Nordic.
Nordic. I'm of the opinion
My money is on blue avians are totally real, and so are billions of different extraterrestrial races.
My money is on no extraterrestrial races exist.
The only one I would possibly consider is some kind of reptile or reptoid that would be a survivor of dinosaurs, if the dinosaurs were even real. Things that went underground and evolved into humanoid shape.
When we got removed from our original nature-based religion, where everybody kind of based on the earth, that's when they kind of made it possible for all these people to start landing and maybe have a conversation. We go, who the fuck are you? This is our planet. I mean, you know, we even remember that we were put here. Our legends are loaded with this is our planet. What are you doing here? You know, I mean, and we don't care what message you have. We already have our message. We've been operating with our message for tens of thousands of years. We know where God is. We're very comfortable. We have an intelligence living on the planet. We're real good. Now get the fuck away.
That reminded me of a theory I've been fighting with. What if ETs are real and they come down and like they're way better than us and they scoop up all the Earth ladies? You know, like men would be very jealous. So I think
they didn't scoop them up. They just, you know, apparently they picked them out. And you know, again, we're hot, man. Everything. The men are hot. The women are hot. You know, everybody. You know, the aliens are just obsessed with us, and because they're technologically advanced, I think they think that means something.
What if though? Just consider the fact that there are no aliens, and then aliens consider the fact that consider the scenario that they don't exist, but then we're attacked by aliens. What does that mean?
Well, hold on now.
Also, let me just throw it real quick.
Is damage in like? Are we actually like taking damage? Are we actually being attacked? Are there physical things like extraterrestrial looking things out there?
The scenario I have in my head is that we'll be attacked by some ugly aliens, ones that are evil looking, I would say, and
that women wouldn't be attracted to.
Correct, and then we would be saved by good looking aliens, possibly. Like think about reptilians coming out of the ground attacking everybody. Snatching babies and shit, and the Nordics coming down and eradicating the reptilians forever.
Okay.
If we were to see that,
yes, everyone would see it. Everyone would see it. What? But now,
are the Fantastic?
Well, then we'd know.
Are the Fantastic Four in the plot?
The who?
The Fantastic Four. Are they in the plot?
No, but the Nazis probably are.
Okay.
I didn't see Steph's question. Sorry, I was looking at the chat.
I think Jerry's hinting at Project Bluebeam.
Yeah,
yes,
I am. I'm using that scenario.
Holograms, holographics.
It's the whole Werner von Braun thing, which I agree is a distraction nomad, just to get that out there, but it can't be dismissed.
Oh, no, definitely it can't. But the thing is, eventually, if it becomes so physical like that, or it seems physical like that, I believe we're too smart to realize that it's
why people think the ISS
actually
is
real for too long. Yeah, we can't go up into space, but if these things start manifesting on Earth, there's going to be interactions. I mean, who knows?
If people actually
manifesting is so amazing. Let's talk about manifesting. Manifesting is fucking amazing. It is.
That's what it's all about.
So.
I do mine with sigils, by the way.
Woo! Manifesting. I draw sigils.
So do I.
This is what I do. So for those that don't know, so I came back, and when I woke up, I started drawing all kinds of
really
things.
Cool shit too.
Thank you.
What do you mean when you say you came back?
Well, when I didn't want to come back from this that being out of this matrix. So my
Didn't you come
near-death
back
experience.
different too, or
I came
different
back.
soul?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm 100% different person. I
Yeah.
lost all my friends. I lost
Well,
most of my family,
people just died.
and people they couldn't figure. They couldn't. A lot of people didn't want to go through the process of grieving. And then I've had people. Oh, are you a walk-in?
Yes.
I don't feel. No, I do not. I'm not a walk-in. I feel I was reset back to the person of that which I was meant to be in the womb, and because of the system and the MK Ultra that I had gone through prior. So the old me, I'm the me that was supposed. I'm the me that was supposed to be here to begin with. But
Your
that
alter
the system,
died. Essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Alters. Yes.
Yeah. You just reminded
That
me.
is what happened when I shattered. So
Yeah, that's cool. That's very cool. You know that Aurora person, the flying rainbow lasagna lady.
Flying rainbow lasagna lady.
You don't know her?
No.
She's got a YouTube channel, and she's interesting.
Oh, I'll have to check it out. Steph was asking me a question. Oh, thank you, Steph. Sorry. Was my NDE before or after 2011? My NDE was coming up on this September of 2011. That is when it was. And then I went into brain rehab. I had to relearn how to walk, talk, chew, swallow. And then I was in two different dimensions.
When did it happen?
September 2011. Yeah. Yep. And then
would you care to go into a little detail of what happened?
Sure. I was hit by a drunk driver, and my head hit a steel plate. And it was the moment my head hit the steel plate that I had everything about me shattered into a gabillion pieces, like glass shattering, so altar shattering, reset, and I was catapulted through the void and out of this matrix. And it was oh my gosh, it was absolutely beautiful, and I consider it an absolute gift. And yeah, feel free to ask me questions too, because I have so many things that I sometimes.
A car accident?
Yeah. So I was at a red light at a full stop, and at the moment of impact, I had, when you go to reach over to your right and change the music, at the exact moment that I went to overextend the seatbelt and get to put the CDs and overextend, boom. And then my head hit the
from
steel.
behind her.
Yeah, they were either 65 or 75 miles an hour.
Damn.
Their what do you call it? Engine, their car engine was in the passenger seat of their car. Yeah.
Wow.
Drunk driver, third offense.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah. And when he got out of jail, he went back home out of the country. So, yeah.
But what really matters is that experience. I mean, in a way, that sucks. But
it was a gift,
it's almost, yeah, exactly. I was just about to say that.
Yeah. So it's been, so then I come back, I have this experience. I come back when I say that, to this meat bag, right? To our body, to my body. And then I'm in this, this process of traumatic brain injury. So I had lost all the abilities, again, walking, talking, chewing, swallowing, the whole thing. I had to go to the hospital, was in there. But in the hospital, I seeing things, right? And like auras and vibrations. I see vibrations, and I'm smart enough to know, you don't tell the doctors this, because they'll freaking, drug you up even more. So anyhow, after the brain rehab, come back here and go through the process of trying to heal and figure things out. And it was experiencing two dimensions essentially. So I would be, you're in this 3-dimension here, and say I'm sitting in my chair like I am right now, but at the same time I could put my hand through walls. I heal through massaging my own brain. I could put my hand through my skull and massage my own brain. I could manipulate matter, and then on top of that, seeing all kinds of wild shit. So, and this was a good 2-3 years. So then it was in the fall of 2015. It's like I had this aha moment, and I just got a pad of paper and a pencil, and you can look at my drawings. They're pretty freaking wild. So, and then I just started researching some certain people and things, and then I somehow got on a radio podcast, and boom, 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 all this stuff starts happening. So very interesting stuff. Yeah. Feel free to ask questions, because
I mean, that's amazing. And I'm sure, like, when you think about it,
yeah.
Do you think that, if anything, it gave you a lot of insight into this reality?
Yeah.
I mean,
you mean
a lot of people, they'll probably just end up dying and they won't be able to come back. But when you have that experience of near death and you're able to come back, did it give you a whole new perspective in a way?
Yeah, and
like you were able to see things in a way you weren't able to before.
Yeah, absolutely. But see, absolutely, everything. I mean, everything changed when I don't think people have a grasp of, they just hear a person say, "Oh yeah, everything changed." No, everything changed. From the way my voice is, the way I talk, the way I laugh, the way I'd be walking around my house. I look at all the objects in my house. I'm like, whose shit is this? Whose shit is this? And I'd be told it's yours. And no, this is not mine. Okay. The clothes, I mean, every single thing changed, and including, there's this understanding that how do I explain this? I guess, okay, so the old me, the I'll say the pre-TBI me, the pre-NDE me, I have I have a very interesting old me, I'll put it that way. I was born in the secret city of Los Alamos. So I'll just start there. And I had a very interesting life up until the TBI. And there was a medical MK Ultra, and
before your near-death experience?
Correct, yes.
So you had you were already kind of somewhat aware of some things beforehand.
As a kid.
And then that NDE just
right. As a kid, see, I remember as a kid doing certain things, and that was in Los Alamos. And
you might have even had near-death experiences during your programming that you don't recall yet, or ever.
I'm not even going.
There's no answer.
We can talk about that. Yeah. No, you're fine. We could, but anyhow, so it's interesting. So after the NDE and TBI, and I started, once I, got fully back into this meat bag body, and I started doing all these drawings, and I started researching MK Ultra, Kathy O'Brien. I started researching orbs. I started researching alternative media, the awakened community, Illuminati.
What is researching Kathy O'Brien? What did you find through that? I'm curious.
Well, I was researching and trying to understand the old me. These things about the old me.
Oh, did you you were assigned to someone?
I'm not going to go into more of any.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pry. I'm just saying you were.
I'm just trying to answer his question, but
you
Kathy
said you researched.
So because
this person that is famous, or at least somewhat famous,
well,
right?
I don't know if that's something
For a
I'm
reason?
famous for, but
No, that you were researching someone.
oh,
Was
yeah,
that the only famous
why
person you started researching?
No.
Okay.
There was a group, and it was just like, well, what is this, and this, and then as I start researching it, right, you're like, holy shit, because I have these recalls of these things that I was doing as a kid, where these certain laboratories were. How's that?
Yeah, that's interesting. And man, you can go so many directions from everything you just said. I don't even know where to begin asking questions.
So my father worked at a lot of the labs. I'll just leave it at that. Like Montauk, Brookhaven, Fermi, Sandia, those kinds of things. Did I lose you guys?
No, we're just all fascinated.
I'm
okay.
thinking about it. That is very interesting to hear.
Yes. So, yeah. So, what is this?
Could you elaborate a little bit more on that famous person?
Ask me a direct question. What do you
Could
want me to elaborate on? Why did I research her?
Yeah.
I don't like saying she's famous, first of all, because I don't think I think that's the wrong terminology with her. But
well, compared to you and I, or anyone, most people we know.
Why was I? Because there are things that, well, like I had said, when I hit my head, I know my altar shattered. So.
Your personality shot. You got unsplit. Got resplit.
Yeah. I got reset.
Yeah.
I was reset.
I get it. I get it.
Get it?
But the other
you were able to see the programs.
No, the programs got shook loose.
The programs got shattered. It was like, so when I hit my head, there was like a gibillion. It's like I saw my energy sources, plural, shatter into a gibillion pieces, and the me got reset. When I went back to the beautiful essence, where all this beautiful energy essence, I got reset back to that beautiful energy essence of the, I don't want to use that term, uncontaminated, but truly uncontaminated me back to the womb, because the system, the system screws everybody. So, and changes everybody and mind controls everybody.
It's like
and
your
then
undefiled self.
So, yeah. So, but I came into this world a soldier, warrior, fighter. I came in the world fighting to live. So it's just a very interesting thing. Yeah. So I hope I'm making sense.
So no, so you buy Kathy O'Brien's story, or some of it, or the theme.
There's some things that I question, but everything should be questioned at all times.
Exactly.
There's just some things that
for me,
with the experiences of medical MK Ultra, and medical MK Ultra exists, and that was my experience. So I found it interesting. It was just, I guess what I'm trying to say is, so when I woke up and I start drawing all these things, and I start like, well, I don't know, I can't tell you how I started looking up these names. I don't know how. It was just all this information in these.
You were guided to.
These things were like, oh, do, like
You're
a domino.
being shown the truth.
Yeah, and it was like, holy shit, and I really had to you go within yourself, and that's where the truth is. The truth is within you, and
Agreed.
and you have to go in there, and you have to sit in this deep, beautiful essence of which each of us has inside, and you sit there and you try and you for yourself find your center and find understanding. And it's when you do that journey that things really start to get more interesting.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
And
so
if you think about it, that was something that was typically common in every ancient culture. There would be some kind of coming to age journey.
Yeah. And what happens in our society is the moment we're born and given our birth certificate, it's the moment we are chipped away. We are chipped away.
It's a total layer of bullshit.
And everybody is mind controlled. Every single person. Yeah. You can tell me that. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, every person is mind controlled to an extent.
Absolutely.
There's different levels of it, and there are definitely some very dark factions, and there's definitely some very scary ones when involving the business of pharmaceuticals and business of people with certain levels of energy. They are targeted. Yes. So.
Yes, and I would also say that there's a whole nother layer of mind control on top of that, that the fact that we think they're scary. I mean, it's one of those things
that goes into the whole fear programming, though.
You have to get through
are two different things.
And the thing is,
fear. Be
most people don't realize these things.
Right.
And I've known people that, unfortunately, when they discover these things, it's total fear for them. They don't feel comfortable eating anything anymore, or they'll get so paranoid to the point where everything is being controlled. And, at that point, the system beats you. The system wins at that point.
You're absolutely right, but that's just a stage.
Exactly, and that's a stage that can be broken through, and maybe is critical.
I went through it myself when I
woke
up. I freaked the fuck out. I thought, believe me, I had stockpiles of food in my house. I thought the economy was going to collapse. Aliens were going to invade. I wasn't eating anything but like organic rice for weeks. I went deep, and I was like, whoa. But I get that, and then at some point you're just like, wait a minute, I see what's going on.
I mean, a lot of it is legitimate. There is poisonings that are happening. There are stupid shit that, fluoride in the water. Things like even the other day, Tuesday, I read this report how glyphosate was found in Ben & Jerry's ice cream.
Yes, I saw that too.
A company that used to be a local Vermont company, and they sold out to Unilever.
Yep.
And now, supposedly it's acceptable within the parts per billion that the EPA considers safe for human consumption, but it still doesn't mean that there's no glyphosate in the fucking food. And it could be a slow poisoning. It could be something that's legitimate, or is that another thing to be paranoid about?
Right.
It's and it makes you wonder. Maybe it's a combination of realizing the whole deception, and at the same time, it's not just 100% deception. There is actual factual things that are happening, and there is corporate owners controlling the masses, or whatever you would want to call it. But
sort of.
There's still corruption that is happening. But the ultimate thing is, we need to find our human potential. Our true human potential is what will make the difference in the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's rough because
It is. It is. And you know, the whole you know, I don't know, you hear about, you know, oh, the event is coming, oh, the shift is coming, or this or that. Well, I have shifted my pants so many damn times that I swear to God, it's like, you know, that becomes, you know, even so it's you know,
But something is coming.
Yeah. Well, something is always coming.
No, but something's coming. Something soon, though. I mean, we all feel
that's
it.
an interesting conversation we should get into.
Yes, this
because
is a whole.
One thing I've found interesting is that always around this time, August, September,
Mhm.
it always seems like there is something that's going to happen. And, you know, usually it doesn't.
You got to wonder
Sometimes
what
it does.
the original trauma was that caused that psychic echo or reverberation or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's 9/11, to be honest.
9/11 is a huge aspect of it. Yeah, absolutely. That changed everything.
But this is different. I don't have any trepidation towards September. It's all in August.
And hopefully it retracts everything that 9/11 did.
Touch your thumb and your pointy fingers together. Let's do it. Ready? I'm going to do it, Jerry. I'm doing it just for you. I'm shifting my pants. There you go.
The only thing I'll
Everybody
say
shift
is
your
that
pants.
I feel strongly that Trump's election on 11/9 broke the 9/11 cycle.
Dude, that's a really interesting thought.
Yeah.
It wasn't supposed to happen.
Uh-huh.
You think that's why so many people are upset?
Yeah.
Like beyond all recognition.
The plot is broken. The story.
Yeah.
Everyone's improvising now. This was the analogy I came. That there's no more plot left, and the cameras are still running, so everyone's improvising. And that's why things look crazy, because there's no order to it. It's all like, what the fuck?
Chaos is reigning. Possibly.
Yes, and in this chaos is the apocalypse. It's the unveiling. We're getting to see the man behind the curtains.
This is where Keck steps in.
Yeah.
Keck stepped in on 11/9, I think.
But he's playing with all this chaos.
And if you look at the...
See, I would say screw even the word apocalypse.
This means unveiling.
It means unveiling.
And also... No, I mean, yeah, Keck, but at the same time, no. Human.
But yeah, well, I mean, again, I'm all for
it's our manifestation.
It is our time, and to me, Keck is just giving a lot of fun and playing with what's going on here, and it's very human.
It is. It's where we're at right now as a society.
Have you guys seen the picture that someone found on Google Earth or Space or whatever of Keck in the constellation of Virgo, where the conjunction is next month for the eclipse?
I think I did see that.
Oh, it's funny.
And well,
you should post that, dude.
When Keck came up, I said, I feel Sophia's energy in this, which is a human energy. You know, it's all about humans.
Because that's all there is.
I agree, but it is also externalizing.
Can I ask a question? Sorry, I just got this weird flag on my Google. What's abyssarium?
Abyssarium?
Yeah, so sorry, I probably shouldn't be talking about this live, but
I
just got a flag on my email saying abyssarium's trying to access my Google Mail. The heck is this?
I don't know. You can copy me on it. I'll look at it.
Okay, thank you.
Here's that picture.
Yeah, that's odd.
Right?
That's a word I've never heard before.
I've never heard. I'm gonna type it in the chat. Here, look at this word.
Okay.
It's also funny it came up during the Keck conversation.
Here's the link
to... I'll put it in the... I meant to put it in the live chat. Anybody out there ever hear of this? It said that word, abyssarium, is trying to access your Google Mail.
Is that spelled correctly?
What the hell? What is that?
Oh, it's an Android app you installed. Tap Fish?
No. I don't have that.
That's what
it is.
Is it a game? It's a game.
All right. I don't have them, but
It's probably
okay.
trying to access your contacts.
Oh, okay. Thank you. It just kind of was an interesting word while you guys were talking about that, and I'm like, wait, what is this? So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your wizard there. Sorry, it was like, whoa,
No, that was wild. I thought
that was really weird.
Abyssarium.
Abyssarium.
It sounds cool. It sounds like a cool game. Honestly,
it's like aquarium and abyss
what is
mixed. It's a fish game.
Full on AI, fishy. Oh, something's fishy fish.
Something is fishy.
Oh, the fish.
Fishy fish.
I put that link to the Keck in space.
Oh, nice. What do you think of the supposed AI robots that have developed their own languages and been shut down?
Oh, I was talking about this.
Yeah. Do we know that they shut down?
No.
Are they saying they shut down?
It could just be total bullshit.
Well,
or it could be.
okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to take it for what at face value. Google Translate has its own AI, and that AI developed its own language to use as an intermediary translation platform because of the diversity of languages that it translates. Okay. So it built its own machine language.
Isn't that
like translation?
That it could then translate. Yes, it can take that translation machine language and translate to and from it any language.
Which is really interesting, and if that actually happened, that's kind of groundbreaking in a way.
It did happen, and it's still running, and that's how it
and
works.
It's funny because we're getting hints about that.
No, this was 2 years ago.
We're still getting hints, dude. I saw something the other day on fucking... I purposely watched television, as you know.
Yeah, let me finish.
And I see that.
Let me finish.
Okay.
Facebook has an AI doing something, I forget what, not translating, but it also developed its own language recently, and they shut it down. Google did not. And then someone brought up the point that linguistics and language are not evident, but indicative of some sort of awareness there. Autonomy, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to say self-awareness, but just awareness of itself and its job. I don't know. It's just this whole thing with the singularities coming. I think we already hit it. I think when the D-Wave computers went online, that's when it happened, because they all...
Possible.
If this is a crazy place, then the AI in the future came back in time and did it. It's like whenever it happens, it already happened. If you could think of it, it already happened. We just haven't.
And therefore,
we haven't caught up to it yet.
What if it has nothing to do? I mean, I guess essentially you would be right. What if it's all human? It's all what we have done to ourselves.
Well, AI is not. I mean, I can write a program.
Wouldn't that be something created by humans?
It is created by humans, but I would look at it
I agree with this.
Does it get its own consciousness?
It depends on how complicated it is. I believe it's the
complexity that's one thing
of the organism. Like I strongly believe the
it's
internet
not
is
an organism, though.
Yes, it is. When it comes to a certain energetic level, be that electricity to run or whatever you want. When it has enough,
yes, it can run
energy running through it. It can contain a consciousness. It might be the consciousness.
I don't know
of
if
a
it
rock.
can. It's exact. See, I don't. It can't exactly. It is in a way, I guess, a machine consciousness.
Yes.
It will never possibly match human consciousness.
Well, you can't say that.
I just did.
But I mean, I can't agree.
I mean, I
that.
don't know that for sure. That's what I feel.
I think there are
I feel like it will be
things...
fake. There's something it will always lack.
Creative ability. It lacks a right brain.
I would, yeah. I'd say it's more than that too.
But that's how we have to look at it now. We have no idea.
Yeah, we're
definitely
basing
basing it on the computing power of today's technology, which we already know is out of date.
I'm just basing on what I feel.
But, I mean, what can't even
my
feel
perspectives.
can't feel joy and the other kinds of emotions that are produced by floods of neurochemicals that we feel in our own nervous system.
What if the AI is inhabiting? What if they come up with a technology to put AI into human? Like they can make a walk-in, an AI walk-in, where it can interface with the body. Then what?
Did you guys see the movie?
It would be interesting.
Be creepy.
I think we're gonna get to that point eventually.
I think it's already happening.
What movie?
I'm fine with it as an option.
It could already be happening.
I think it's a terrible idea, but I'm fine.
I don't think
it's an option.
What? Don't you want a sex bot with emotions?
No,
they're working on it. Dude, they're totally working.
I'm not sure they would get the scent right.
I like what Darcy wrote. Yes, Darcy, I'm gonna do Yvonne's new vocabulary dictionary. Post TBI.
I tell people I'm post-partisan.
Yeah, that's good.
You didn't vote? No, I'm post-partisan.
Oh God.
Post-Vatican too.
Did you guys see the movie Ghost in the Shell?
Which one?
The new one with Scarlett Johansson.
I've only seen the original anime.
Oh my goodness! What'd you think of that? I just saw it.
I liked it when I saw it. It's interesting. The ghost, the whole ghost concept is kind of
Ghost in the Shell. It was really interesting. Maybe I
The
don't know.
she's
Talk about AI. So
she's
Have
like,
you seen the anime?
I have.
No.
That's all I've seen.
Oh wait, maybe I did. I don't remember.
How do you pronounce your name?
Yvonne.
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 Okay.
Some people say Yvonne, Yvonne, whatever.
I like when they get your
Whatever's
last name
clever.
wrong, like Palermo. I forgot.
Palermo.
I know, but I forgot how
Yvonne
someone mispronounced
Palermo.
it. It was hilarious.
Yeah. Well, Yvonne is Spanish. Yvonne is Russian, I guess. So, yeah.
And Jaja is Romanian?
Hungarian.
Bulgarian. Hungarian. Dalek.
What is Jaja? Dalek.
Dalek. Oh, Oliva. I love Green Acres. I hate Green Acres. I like Mr. Haney. He always had a good deal.
That's Ava Gabor.
Ava Gabor.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. And Eddie Munster. Eddie
I liked her.
Albert.
She was.
I think she just died. Or Jaja. One of them just died.
Yeah.
Dropping like flies.
I don't know. You don't die though, so
It's the only guaranteed thing in life.
transition.
I don't think it's even guaranteed
transition.
anymore.
No, it is.
No, because I'm visualizing myself as immortal in the future.
See, but you are immortal. You are immortal. You
In my
definitely
body.
are. We all are.
No, I know, but he's not here.
But in life, death is the only guaranteed thing.
Yeah, entropy sucks.
Yep, it's a transitionary period that wakes us right the fuck up and back into the cycle. And that's why things like NDEs, you know, and then especially you can continue actually being in life after an NDE. You get a whole new perspective.
I'll tell you, it was so, oh my gosh, it's so amazingly incredible how overstimulated our society is. And when I got reset, you know, like the noise, visual noise, sound noise, tactile noise, we're so bombarded all the time. I don't know why I just brought this up. Sorry, it just kind of
it's a frequency because I think that all that
it needs to be talked
soup
about
that we live in. That's all distortion.
Especially if you watch something like the news after that kind of experience.
I think I was talking more to the level that Yvonne was talking.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, a clear level as well.
Yeah. We have to, like, I think about, you know, how babies being born today and how much, you know, because basically it was like I reverted back to a baby, right? Because you have to relearn to walk, talk, chew, swallow. And I was just like, holy shit, you know, the amount of overstimuli to a baby's brain and senses, I think that instantaneously is such a shitty vibration that surrounds them in so many different levels. I think that is like an instant mind control tactic right there.
What
Yeah.
isn't these days?
I agree.
Well, I know, but I'm just
totally
saying,
agree.
I'm just trying to say, I'm just trying to point out some of them. I don't know why I brought it up.
No,
Sorry.
you're right. You're
Well,
absolutely
there's
right.
no-
We all agree. I mean,
There's a lot of people that do home births now.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll totally avoid that situation that happens in the hospital, and they'll do home births with
Yes.
midwives.
Right. Yes. Yes, exactly. And I think that is a very good thing, because
Yeah, that's a really good
the-
point, actually.
the vibration, the arena,
the less
because
trauma.
that's what it is.
Less
The
traumatic.
arena of the hospital is made in such a way to just create chaos. So you're born into the chaos. You're born into this chaotic vibration of
Exactly.
of bullshit. And it's just, that was one of the things I remembered when I was, trying to, when I remember certain stages in the hospital, and people be talking, and you got all the bing, 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 and the boom, boom, all the different noises and everything. And it's so bombarding, and it hurts. And one of the big things was that sound, like a pin dropping on the floor would have, like 1,000 daggers going through my brain as far as sound goes. Everything is on like such a higher level of sensation.
Intensity.
So yes, thank you. Yes. So it's just something
That's
to
our
think
human
about.
potential.
And then, then the
Mhm.
density of it from wherever you were, the density coming back has to compress that. So it's
Right.
even more.
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
definitely.
It took me, I don't know. I couldn't go into a store for like 4 years, 3 or 4 years. And to this day, I still wear earplugs. I can't. I very much am in a bubble, because there's just too much. There's too much of everything. Everything is oversized, overpackaged, too many choices. God, just
You
everything
saw through
is
the
just
bullshit.
It's
too
information
much.
overload.
It is.
Sometimes
And
after you see
yes.
through the bullshit, it's hard to
It's
reassimilate.
Oh my God,
It's
thank
hard
you.
to
It
grocery
is.
shop,
I'm
dude.
still trying to, I don't want to re-assimilate. I don't want to
No.
become a part of the Borg system again here. I just, but it is very difficult.
It tries it does that
tests.
on purpose.
Yes,
It makes
exactly.
it inconvenient.
And the other thing this is where I was going. Sorry. The grid system that we're on. So the architectural system, the way that the buildings are made, the way that the streets are designed, everything is on a negative grid system. It's not sacred geometry. It's anything but. So it's a sick system.
But
If
we
you
have to
ever
realize
watch-
it's a
if you
human
watch-
system.
Right, but if you watch the way they design things, the way that the people cross the street, the way that the cars go, the way that you've got these square buildings, everything is a negative design.
Mhm.
It does not. It's
And-
not a fluid. There's no fluidity to the flow in a healthy way.
And yes,
So-
Nomad,
I
we
agree.
did make it, but those people were influenced by an outside force.
See,
And either way, we need to forgive them for doing it and
I
move
think
past it.
when you say outside force, I agree.
I'm not saying
but
it's
I
outside
still-
of our consciousness, but it's outside of people here.
That's where it gets a little confusing.
You have to explain a little bit more to
From
me.
the underworld, from the spirit realm,
Oh,
whatever you want to fucking
okay.
call it, okay?
But that's all. I think it's all
it's
part
not.
of us.
It's not all part of us.
But how do you really know that?
It's
I
just-
mean, granted, I don't know that it is either way.
It's kind of like your immune system. If you have a good immune system, you don't attack your own body parts. If you have a screwed up one, if it's too weak, other things can attack it. And if it's too strong, it attacks itself.
You know, you're saying like a virus is part of us.
And also, yeah, viruses, yeah.
So
And
there's
that's true.
something that we have yet to be able to affect a full immune response to yet, but it's building, and part of it is seeing how much of that virus is actually in our psychology, and it's by
Either way,
eliminating
like,
it there
would it-
where it's rooted.
Could we agree that it's at least all part of being human, or is it just
Well,
completely
it's part
separate?
of being. It's our circumstance, so it is part of being.
It is the circumstance, but the circumstance has been created
being aware
by
of
shitty
this-
people.
No,
There's almost like
in power.
two psychologies: an Earth-based psychology and a kind of a more space-based psychology.
Off-world.
And so
You're
those, and as receivers, in many ways, as our brain is a receiver, there's a kind of a competition for which signal we're going to tune into, and all you have to do is get a few fuckwads that are weak in your own group, or get a power enough group just to kind of create a distraction. You start finding inroads into other psychologies that resisted you when they weren't distracted, and then you start building up exterior systems. But it seems
That seems exactly like what has happened.
Yeah.
It seems like you just described the evolution of like the past 70 years.
Well, here's a question for you, Nomad. Okay, yes, even if it is just us, then what? Now what? What do we do? And that's kind of more the point. Becoming aware of it is 90% of the issue.
But also, if it ever came to the point where we actually realized it was all just us, wouldn't that all of a sudden accelerate everything? And honestly, I think that has what has happened in the past few years, or maybe even the past 16 years.
Yeah,
we have started to realize that it is all just us.
Whether you're a flirter, a baller, a matrix installer, it all comes down to the same thing. You have to go inside of yourself, and everybody needs to get to a point where they can, and I've said this already before today, but you have to be able to, individually needs to get to know who they are.
Yes.
Individually. In themselves, without their story. Doesn't matter what you believe. Flat Earth is what I mean by a flirter, baller by the sphere system, or matrix. It doesn't matter. Everybody can have their beliefs, but what we have to do is collapse the beliefs, take the time, go within, and then you open your eyes with that understanding of the essence, that which you are. And then you can build upon that from truth. What is truth? Truth is knowing thyself.
Bam. You just nailed it.
That's it. Yes.
I have a boner again.
Dude, and also the fact that you just open that up with like a mini rap.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
That was
Yvonne's awesome, dude. Come on. Well, she's got a radio show, you know?
Yeah, that was amazing.
I don't anymore, but thank you.
That's why
and that goes back to the whole thing where I think it's human, and it's all about going into yourself and knowing yourself. It's all human based.
And it's our this society, everything that it is right now doesn't allow that. They are they purposely remove you from getting to know thyself. They make you so fucking busy and so tired and so sick that you don't have time to go within.
And the first thing they do is hijack the spirituality.
Exactly. And then you don't
the connection
have to,
with nature.
You know, yeah, and not just that, but then you've got all the gurus now that are in the new age gurus. You know, pay me $500 and I'll tell you. No, you know what?
Get
Fuck
rid of your
you.
astral implants.
I'll sit with you for free and be with you. I'll sit with you for free. Let's all just sit together and be truth. If you want to know what truth is, that is where it is. That is what it is. There's no need to have to, you know, and then all the other stuff can be just busy stuff. You have to. It's just busy distraction. It's you know, you want to know the truth. Well, pitch everything. Pitch everything. All the noise. Get rid of the fucking noise. And when I say noise, I'm not talking about just the audio. I'm talking about everything you see, everything, just everything. Go sit with yourself and sit so freaking deep that you cry until you have no tears left. You know, and then once you go through this whole part and then you can see. That's, for me, in my personal experience, that's seeing, that's understanding, and that is a knowing that the system cannot strip from you.
You essentially just described the enlightenment experience.
Yeah, you have the dark night of the soul, and then you stand in your enlightened being, your sovereign being. You realize who you are and what what can and cannot be done to you anymore, and yada, yada, yada.
Right.
I wanted to add one thing to the going within. I think the most important part, which no one really talks about, is that you need to drop all your belief systems before you do that, and examine them all one by one and say, why do I believe that? You know, what do I know? What do I think? But, you know, I think the belief is the problem in a lot of it.
Absolutely.
And there was somebody recently had said something that I think is well, there's a lot of hypocritical things and a lot of dangerous things, but one of the things was, I'll just say, this person had said, you know, if you're on that belief system that anything is possible, okay, that is a dangerous thing, because if anything's possible, then okay, I could say that I'm the king of the world, and I could be it then, right? It was about questioning, how do I explain this without...
How is that different from prayer or wishing or whatever? You know, it comes down to probability, really, not possible.
Yeah.
It might be possible, but it's highly improbable.
Yeah.
But I hear you.
Yeah.
It is dangerous.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah,
also,
it is.
in a way, it's I would say
wisdom and intent are good ways to proceed.
Yes. I was just going to say it's more open-minded than saying, you know, the world's flat and you're a dick if you don't believe it.
Right. Yeah. You just, you know, and I'm not saying, and at the same time, you know, that's the beautiful thing is we can all have our own beliefs. However, don't try to sell me something, and don't, you know, there's these lines that are being drawn here, and
Especially opinions that are built on a foundation of books from 2,000 years ago, allegedly.
Well, if somebody has a message for humanity, then give it for fucking free. Don't fucking charge me an arm and a freaking leg and say, sorry, you can't come in, you can't come into the club unless you can afford this. Get your ass. We're on YouTube. We're on for free right now.
Right.
You got a mess. You know, I
agree. It's all I agree. Information should be free. But if fake Jesus had a good message for us, it was that we don't need priests to be our intermediaries. And that's what I see that as.
Yep.
Oh, that's the big problem, priests.
Right. But I mean,
and that was something that was so critical a long time ago, that there had to be an intermediary in between truth. Like, and that makes no sense. Why?
That's relatively recent in our history.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. It is,
and it's more.
It still happens now, actually.
Yeah, well, it's done today. I would say the echo of that is the criminalization of psychedelic. Is akin to that.
Definitely.
You know, it's
we talked about that the other night.
Yeah, we did.
Well, science is the new priesthood, because they stand between. They try to stand between us and how we understand reality. They try to be reality interpreters.
Yep.
So it's really the priesthood. Following where the main public function and where they feel the authority of revelation comes from.
On top of
Words
that,
of
you're
wisdom.
labeled a heretic if you don't agree.
And that's happening with like climate deniers.
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
might be called
also, even think about it on even one other level. If you say you don't believe in aliens, in a way, you're then a denier as well.
Yes, totally.
And
yeah.
What do you think I go through when I
Even
tell people
things like
that space is fake? You know,
Right? Yeah.
they
That
laugh
whole
at
cold
me.
total
Are
thing
you
too.
retarded? No.
It's a multi-layered thing,
But
and
now,
it's
now I really
so
want it to be
effective.
true, so I can go, ha, I
So
told
effective,
you.
right?
What? I'm sorry.
But the thing is, unfortunately, yeah, we're never going to see a lot of those things become true 100%. I think it's.
I can't say that. I don't know that's true. We may.
Hopefully, you're right.
Don't know what's true.
Everything just like breaks out. All the truth actually breaks out soon.
Nomad
But
saying
until
he doesn't
then,
think we will have any kind of understanding before we die of anything, really.
Oh.
Oh no, definitely not.
I do.
I wouldn't say that at all.
Oh,
we definitely. That's
Our
what
life
happens
is
when we
supposed to be
die.
training
If
for
we
that
don't
moment. I
Right.
mean,
exactly,
Right.
exactly. But all I'm saying is that something like I don't know, a false movement. I don't know. That doesn't make sense.
Like New Age movement?
You mean the disclosure stuff?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That-
I think you got to wonder if the disclosure is just that in itself is a disinfo.
It's distracting from the
distraction.
potential
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
But I
That's
think
how.
the whole alien agenda is
Absolutely.
part of the whole. All of it is part of that.
Absolutely.
all of it.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And then, but
yeah.
see, here's the thing: not all the people who are out there doing it, so-called ufologists, are part of it. Okay, they're just
no.
They got stuck on the tinfoil ball as it rolled downhill. You know, or their Velcro, whatever you want to think of it as. They're hangers on or profiting from it. That's all. They're not part of it. They actually believe it. I mean, in that way, they are part of it. But you can't say that they're bad. Like, are you going to blame
It'd be
Richard
interesting to
Dolan
see-
for talking about spaceships and Nazis and shit? That's what the research
I
points
think
to, you know?
New Age needs to stay out of ufology.
Not only
New
that, but
Age.
can we all agree at one point we found that really provocative and interesting?
I did. I really thought the law of
I
one
did.
might have been the real
There was a point
God
where I
at one
totally
point.
did.
You know?
Yeah, true.
Like, oh my God.
I mean, as we go.
I not yeah.
But, you know, now I look at it and go, it's a fucking AI.
It's a cult. Sorry.
It's the Galactic
It's a cult.
Federation.
Can we just say it's a cult? The law of one is your Bible.
Yeah, that is a cult for sure.
When you're seeing people that are timid to state how they actually feel about something because they're afraid of getting kicked out, that surely reflects Scientology actions.
Oh,
surely
that's right.
Reflects movements of cults. So
we were. I don't remember where. I think it was during the cruising with Steak the other night. Nomad. We were talking about how I saw so many Scientology red flags in that whole thing in the disclosure stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, definitely.
The whole disclosure, this whole thing, you know, to me it seems like one of the largest disinfo campaign things out there.
It's funny because they're coming out. You know, I'm gonna continue to be the guy that still watches TV to report. They're coming out with a new show on the History Channel or Discovery Channel about Scientology, starring that actress from King of Queens that was
Leah Remini. That's old. That's an old shit. That's
an
2 years
old
old.
one. Yeah, I saw that.
Oh no, they're releasing something brand new.
Oh, it's a new season.
Oh, new season. Then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Leah Remini, right?
Fresh shit.
Fresh shit. Yeah.
Yep. Fresh shit.
Fresh shit.
And you know,
that's stuff pollute your mind, dude.
Makes you wonder. It's just funny you mentioned that, and that's the thing that's trending also on the media.
Is it?
I mean, it's. Yeah, I saw a commercial for it today.
I mean, I think a big draw. There's two big draws for a lot of the disclosure crowd. One is I want my family to stop thinking I'm nuts. Okay, so there's a little bit of a little personal thing to that.
Vindictiveness.
But there's also the promise of free energy. Everybody wants free energy, and I can just see, you know, we'll just pick on the Nordics, some Nordic coming out and saying, you know, we're finally here to convey a great message of peace and something that will unite all of humanity. And people are like, oh, sounds great. What about the free energy? Well, free energy can be used for bad as well as for good. So once we're sure that all of you are united under this uniting thought, then we will feel safe enough to release free energy to you. I mean, I can just...
After you lay down all your weapons.
And of course, and people are like, what do you mean? We wanted free energy. What's with this law of one stuff? Well, that's why we have the counseling classes for you, so you can understand, how important this is for humanity that you do this. And I just feel the creepiness.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Will those all be in the FEMA camps, those counseling centers?
No, no. The ones who don't agree with it will be the ones in the FEMA camps.
Who gets beheaded? That's what I never understood, the beheadings.
The ones who don't accept the law of one.
I see.
So pretty much anyone that doesn't believe in aliens.
Yeah, it's the Inquisition all over again.
There's this, you guys gotta see.
It's been being pushed for a while, right?
Oh, yeah, since 50s.
A lot of people were fucking pissed
Since
Clinton
1947.
didn't get elected because they thought that it was going to bring disclosure.
It all started. There's never going to be disclosure because there's nothing to disclose. It's all nonsense.
Right, dude.
It all started in 1947 in Roswell. I mean, that's when it started.
Yep.
Maybe earlier.
That's when the mind control started, at least.
Or at least they found a good place to inject the beginning of it.
See, this is.
Yeah.
I got
dude,
this
they did.
link. Let me post that.
Dude, we should be careful.
Why?
Well, the funny thing about
we might be getting onto some shit.
What's kind of strange is
talking about it.
If we're talking a certain kind of technology, then it kind of can almost be bent to the Germans via Joseph P. Farrell.
Yes.
But then there's also the mention of a weather balloon. And if you've ever listened to Douglas Dietrich and his story of Roswell, so there's almost like there's elements to feed either side of that story in the two separate releases, one having to do with hardware and the other one having to do with a flying balloon for all intents and purposes.
There's actually a third one, the Nick Redfern story, which is Japanese craft.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. No, the Japanese one is what I'm talking about. It's Douglas Dietrich, where he said that it was Japanese who were flying these, basically dirigibles.
Yes.
And to do something nasty, and when they crashed, they burned terribly. So what you're looking at with these what alien bodies is basically a person who looks Chinese or Japanese, horribly disfigured.
We have no evidence of alien bodies.
Roswell, you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was another one from, I forget her name, an author. She did an in-depth story about it, saying that it was Soviet, and it included disformed children, 2 disformed children.
Yeah, I heard that too.
They were potentially human, but still disfigured and as if they were being experimented on.
And once they got barbecued, they were indistinguishable from grays.
Yep. Or the thing is, no one ever saw something weird like that. So you're like, when you see something like that, maybe that was like the big.
Plus, it was all seeded by, I forget the guy's name, but who saw the dude who caused the phrase "flying saucer" to become popular. I forget what his name was, but he was a pilot who saw 4 flying discs go into a mountain, like into a I don't know, like a garage door in a mountain kind of thing,
And wasn't it also during World War II where Foo Fighters?
It was right at the end.
Foo Fighters?
Yeah.
Was that World War II?
Yeah, the Foo
Fighters were the little spheres that were going through all the...
And those were all the Nazis.
During World War II, right?
Yeah. That was all Nazi tech.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. They were like
tech.
Yeah, totally. All of this is human tech. That's the point.
Exactly.
You should read Walter Bosley's Empire of the Wheel and some of his stuff about NIMSA.
Yeah.
And the 1901, these 2 groups that were high-tech Germans, basically. High-tech rich fuckers from Germany who didn't want to play the game. So they took their toys and just made like they would be the breakaway civilization if there was one.
Right.
So imagine that as truth and think about everything that's happened since then.
Yeah, it's a lot of fuckery.
That's pretty much what I've been thinking for at least the past few years.
But so this goes back to like when we were talking about things built upon other foundations of falseness, like the Kesh experiments.
Yeah,
So
it gets more involved,
NASA
more in depth.
is built upon the Roswell story, in a way.
Never a straight answer, NASA.
Bam.
I'm just saying, it's all anything that has to do with space or aliens or getting out of here is
it makes sense.
It's
dude.
part of that agenda, or pushes an aspect of it which benefits somebody, but not us.
Yeah. I gotta go get something to drink. What time do you go?
We're
Do you
cutting
run
at
your
2 o'clock.
your discussion to? Yeah.
Trying to keep it under 4 hours so it doesn't split into 2 videos on YouTube, and it's a small.
Oh, is that what it does?
It
Okay.
does. Every 4 hours it cuts into a chunk.
I did not know that.
So if you stream like 24 hours, you'll have whatever. 6.
Yeah.
And I'd say, despite that conversation and how amazing it was, I still want to believe.
So do I. It's very possible, and I completely keep this at a 50-50, that there's an Orion timeline with the Draco reptilians in it. You know?
Right.
And maybe they have figured out how to come here and fuck with us. It's entirely.
I think we have wormholes right by our planet that they can use personally.
Yeah, but there's another half of me that says these are all just constructs of the underworld. You know, that they're just all fucking demons.
Or the underworld could be another word for
the underworld's
your
the
subconscious.
The underworld's the AI to me. The controlling system, the one who runs everything.
God,
on their side,
as some people call it.
It would be the God Matrix. It's what that Cavaselli's, what's that guy's name?
Well, I think it is a God Matrix and a God Patrix, and the Patrix is the false one.
But they all overlay each other. They're like overlays upon overlays.
Well, one depends on the other. The Patrix couldn't stand on its own. It's a parasite, so it needs a structure to parasitize upon.
I think the more interesting aspect, and it's an answer we can never come to, I don't think, is it an infection, or is it something in our consciousness that we need to overcome to get to level 2, you know? That's always an itchy question for me. You know, where did it originate?
Well, what if the word in itself, God, instantly fractalized what the meaning of that word meant?
Well, that may have been part of the infection.
Well, the infection was defining what that meant.
Perhaps.
Exactly. And you just gave 2 examples, the God Patriarch and the God Matriarch. Or Matrix, whatever you said.
Right.
Patrix.
And so Patrix. So in a way, that's one of the many fractals. And it's the concept that matters. It's the concept within the human consciousness that matters.
And here's another important thing. Fractals themselves are part of the virus because they're inescapable. You can't get to the end.
But why would that have to be a virus?
Because it's unnatural.
Why can't that be the beautiful thing that is life?
I'm just telling you the things that I've read and researched that appears like the Mandelbrot set is the virus. Is, you know, a big part or a manifestation or aspect of...
I think the Mandelbrot set actually shows the organic matrix.
Interesting.
Which
in its unfoldment and its quantum entanglement.
See, that's exactly. I totally agree with that, and that is real. That's nature. That's human beingness. We have these potentials that we just don't realize yet, and people are still arguing about all these potentials, but you can't prove it physically, so it's become like a mystical thing. Or I mean, here in these cycles we're more aware of it, but most people just kind of write it off. as coincidence.
Look at it this way too. If our reality is fractal in nature, then it's possible to recreate this universe in a singularity when you go down a level.
I agree, and I think that's human potential.
Well,
I think
which level are we on now?
I
hard
feel
to
we're
say as a collective.
I know, but I'm
as
just
a collective. We live on the crust on top of the organic matrix. I mean, all of the systems, they're just kind of like this layer of slime that has been coated over the organic matrix in almost every corner. But as soon as you access nature, you immediately you're poking your nose into the organic matrix. If there's a keep off the grass sign, then you see how that matrix is trying to intrude even there. These rules don't, especially
dude.
That whole language of rules.
That's a really great analogy to describe it. That layer of slime that has been put over nature.
Mm-hmm. You can
and it's
see
preventing us from the deeper levels of actually what is being alive. What is
and his name is Yaldabaoth.
We were enjoying this planet immensely, and one of the reasons why, the people who built Göbekli Tepe were hunter-gatherers. And so if you were going to build something as big and permanent as that, it wasn't going to be a place you could live, because people who lived in nature know you can't live just in one place without depleting nature. Even if you grow your own food, you're going to be deforesting things really quickly. They knew that. So to live in balance with nature, you had to kind of be moving around a lot. But then they started building these central places where the various tribes and clans could come and meet and celebrate and do the big rituals. But they knew that you could not build a civilization or an empire without negatively impacting the planet. It's not how we're meant to live. You can't concentrate us all in one place, destroy that much plant life, and then also have so little of the food production coming from that population.
They're trying.
Absolutely.
They're trying.
Absolutely. They were one with nature.
I mean, if you move around enough, and most of your wood, if you only cut down for if you need tent poles and other stuff, and then the other stuff is largely firewood. By keeping moving, you can always find a lot of the dead wood that is constantly falling off all of these, especially the old growth forests. So, as long as you kept on moving your spot, you didn't really have to chop down trees for wood, because as you returned a couple of seasons later to the same spot, there would be a whole new set of dead branches to work with.
I'm gonna say goodnight, you guys.
Good night.
It was awesome. We can all say goodnight, actually. Just end it right now.
Yeah, that was a good chat.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
It was a good chat. Thank you.
I didn't mean to interrupt you there, Mod.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking us where you did.
Yeah.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Definitely. Those were some words of wisdom, Leonard.
Oh gosh. Well, it's just good folks, good chat, and thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me and listening, and appreciate it. Yeah. Your pug, everybody. Awesome. Yeah.
Good night and sweet dreams.
Right.
Good night.
Good night, friends.
Okay, I'll say good night.
Good night.
Are you still
live?
I guess I shouldn't leave until you stop the live stream.
Stop the stream. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, sir.